nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
I'm Bev Turner. Thank you for joining us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Breaking news overnight as Israel's war cabinet approves plans to take control of Gaza City.
meaning the IDF could invade Gaza City within hours in the biggest escalation since the massacre of October the 7th.
We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas.
What exactly is Israel planning to do with Palestinians who call the area home?
Humiliation for the government as Homelessness Minister Ellie quits over an eviction row. But could it threaten Labour's renters' rights bill?
Bournemouth residents up in arms as it's revealed 3 hotels in the heart of the city are handed over to accommodate asylum seekers.
A GB News exclusive reveals a Labour group is under fire after it promoted an asylum hotel counter-protest.
The deadline draws near on Donald Trump's deadline for Russia to agree an end to the Ukraine war.
Should cabin bag charges be scrapped? We're debating that this morning as social media users rage at budget airlines and their baggage policies during the summer season.
And in sport this morning, 5 Lionesses are up for the coveted Ballon d'Or award, whilst Manchester United outcast Scott McTominay. He's been nominated after a great season with Napoli. Not ideal Super Cup preparations for Spurs as they lose 4-0 to Harry Kane's Bayern Munich. And the Wales head coach Steve Tandy can't believe his luck now that Lewis Rees-Sammet's given up American football for a return to rugby.
Morning. We're going to have a fine day of weather for many parts of the UK to end the week, but not everywhere. Stick around for the details.
Just gone 6 o'clock, I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast. Do you know, we're always talking about how a good memory is important in how you improve your memory. So
Yes.
eating fish and sleeping well and all those things that we know are good for us, and not smoking, not drinking, exercising. Well, apparently...
Living.
I have no recollection of this conversation whatsoever.
You need to improve your memory. But now they're saying it's actually about your relationships and your friendships.
Right.
And they are key to a good memory.
How's that? No.
Well, I'm working on that.
OK, fine. Sorry, was that a bad question for me
Being
to ask?
sociable means you're positive, highly gregarious, and then that means you score well on this test.
Right.
So it's just interactions then, is it? The more you
Interactions are good
interact
for you.
with people.
Keeping your mind active.
Oh, there you go. So specialised brain cells that are linked to social interactions. The more social interaction you have, the stronger your brain is.
Oh, that's... Yeah.
Which makes sense, right?
Yeah. Which is why often you get people who are very lonely and you can see their cognitive abilities failing.
Sure.
Can't you, when they get older?
Yeah,
And that's sometimes to do with the fact they don't have enough interaction.
How's your memory, Stephen? Is it good? Old stuff is probably good, but what about recently? Someone said, who was on the show yesterday?
Oh, no, hopeless.
No,
Yeah.
hopeless. You're saying?
I think that's our job, though.
Mm.
I think where you have to retain so much information in the short term. My short-term memory is quite good.
That worries me, and I'm thinking, well, what did you do yesterday? I can't remember. I'll tell you what.
But then
I did
it's
quite
gone.
a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's when people ring you up on the way home and say, oh, what was your top story today?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
Don't know. But it's because we're churning through so much information.
That's what I think it is. We just have to get rid of it.
Well, more interaction then in the future.
Yeah, we need more
then
chit-chat.
more chit-chat will then we'll be able to keep the stuff in there.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Let's crack on. And away from the chit-chat, because there's been breaking news overnight. Israel's Security Cabinet has approved Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's proposals to occupy Gaza City.
Well, the reported goal is to evacuate all Palestinian civilians to the central camps before imposing a siege on Hamas militants who are remaining in Gaza City.
Follows Mr Netanyahu's announcement yesterday that he plans to take control of all of Gaza. That's what he wanted. It was only the Gaza City element that was approved by the cabinet before then handing the territory over to Arab forces.
In order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do.
Well, we're joined now by Defence Editor at the Evening Standard, Robert Fox. Good morning to you, Robert. And this is a controversial escalation, isn't it?
Controversial. It's very much an open question whether it can succeed, and the simple tactical answer to that is whether they can penetrate the tunnels. But it has got quite a division among military circles in Israel. Now, does Netanyahu go on to fully occupying Gaza? Yes, it's another spin, and it's very, very divisive, because Israel is becoming increasingly isolated on the international stage. So the key figure in all this will be Donald Trump.
It's very difficult to get our heads around how it could possibly work, Robert, when you've got the IDF, say, concerned about an expansion of military activity. You've got hostage families already out protesting against this. How can this work?
Well, Stephen, yeah, you've absolutely laid it down. The two track, the military track and the political one. And the question of the hostages is a huge one, as you say. But can we just go to the whole business of occupation? How very, very difficult this is. Is Mr. Netanyahu saying to the Israeli people, the IDF, your citizen army, is going to be now involved in an open-ended occupation of Gaza? That is a very, very tall ask indeed, and it's very doubtful whether it can work completely, can be completely watertight in the long term.
And it seems as though the majority of the world is calling for de-escalation in Gaza, calling for Israel to stop or limit their operations in Gaza. It seems as though we're going the opposite way now. And as you say, the key to all of this will be the backing, we assume, of President Trump.
Yes, I think Trump Again, we'll get the extraordinarily active Steve Witkoff involved in this. He's deeply involved in Ukraine, and we don't quite know where that one is going with the possible meeting between Trump and Putin. There is too much going on. It really does depend on what the Americans are saying to Netanyahu for his medium to long term, because America really is the big backer. They need not only the American bucks, but it is the bangs that go with it. It is the ammunition resupply, the support for such systems like Iron Dome. It's very, very difficult to ask an army to go on doing what they're asking them to do. There's been a lot of criticism from veterans of the IDF, of former commanders, of the way that they're going about it, but also getting through those tunnels, as I was trying to say earlier on, which is really the problem, and it's enormously elaborate. Could that be mission impossible?
What about when you talk about sort of medium to long term? I mean, what he has said is he doesn't want to take control permanently. He doesn't want to run the place. He wants Arab nations to get involved. Now, is that likely, and what sort of timescale could that be on?
Oh, there's two very, very good questions. One is we have seen great reluctance, not extreme reluctance, but great reluctance by the Arab powers to get involved, and that's a handful of them. It's about 4 or 5. It's Egypt, above all Saudi Arabia, Qatar, the UAE, and Jordan. And to the north, of course, it's still Turkey, who have not that they're an Arab power, but they're part of the Islamic Conference, that they will have a voice in this. And so far, under the present terms, they have said they are not prepared to put a single Arab boot on the ground in whatever peace force you could devise and whatever the UN may come up with. But now we're in a rolling crisis, and politically it will break open at the meeting of the General Assembly of the UN in New York in September, because I think that the time is over for just jaw, and those that are so critical of the way Israel is pursuing sort of ultimate military policy, I think that they will have to do something. I don't foresee an Arab-Israeli war, although that has been on the cards in the past. But I do see this thing meaning a lot of trouble in the future, in the immediate future, because I think it's not entirely inconceivable that Israel, to divert, because they'll see it as important, will have a go at Iran yet again.
It would take, Robert, to get rid of Hamas entirely? I mean, you've spoken about the practicalities and the complexities of the tunnel network, but it's an ideology, isn't it? Can you ever destroy an ideology?
Two things there, exactly. One is let's do the basic on the ground or underground in the tunnels. Yes, you know, the Yahya Mohammed Sinwar force, as a force, that is gone. But as a guerrilla force that can fight this extraordinary rearguard action which is going on, because there are exchanges of fire and Israeli soldiers are dying, this was never on the cards. This was never calculated when the war really started in late October, beginning November of 2020. When 2023, after the big and terrible attack by Hamas, there is that, but there is the ideology and the idea. I mean, a lot of the finance, a lot of the political headquarters has been located in Doha, in Qatar, of course. They say, oh, let's get rid of that. But even if you expel them from there, as you say, it would go on. It is spread through large parts of the Middle East, and it has a deep root in the more militant aspect end, or rather the elements of the Muslim Brotherhood movement, and that's why I think in two cases they are proving a very, very tough nut to crack.
You mentioned the very, very busy Steve Witkoff. Could we just have a look at the Ukraine situation, Robert? I mean, today is deadline day for Putin to agree a ceasefire. I mean, that was the sort of arbitrary deadline set by Trump when he was in Scotland. We do now know, though, that this meeting is going ahead with Putin. We don't know if it's bilateral or trilateral. But how much hope should we have that some steps, some progress is being made?
But as I think I said on your show before, Stephen, it's the boy who cried wolf, and we've bitten this way so many times before. I think you have to look at the facts on the ground, and the fact on the ground is that the war goes on. Putin thinks his forces, at great cost, albeit, are on a roll on the two fronts, the air raids, the mixed saturation raids by drone and ballistic missile on key centres. And the other is that on the battlefront, the summer offensive is showing results, particularly with the fall of Chasiv Yar. And I'm afraid we can raise all the hope that they want to talk. And Witkoff, as we know, was reasonably optimistic yet again after his one-to-one meeting with Putin. But you look at the propaganda, which one has to look at day by day and sometimes hour by hour, it has not changed. Putin is going for the basis on which he wants to talk. He wants 4 oblasts. And they haven't got full control of a single one of them yet, although Donetsk is about to be totally controlled. But they want Zaporizhia and Kherson, as well as Luhansk and Donetsk. And that's a very, very big ask. They want neutrality, more or less, and they want elections. And they want elections thinking that they can get rid of Zelensky and anybody who supports the Zelensky line. I'm sorry, everything I'm reading, Stephen, says that Putin is still playing hardball.
OK. Robert Fox, good to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
It's interesting. I always think it's interesting when you talk to people like Robert, because you get behind the headlines with it all. You know, he's got his sources. You know, when he says what he's reading, he doesn't mean what he's reading in the papers. You know, it's what he's getting from elsewhere. And it just gives us that inside glimpse into what is really going on.
He's good, isn't he?
He is good. Fascinating. Fascinating.
Anyway, let us know what you think on that one. So Ben Wallace, the former Defence Secretary, has actually said that Britain needs to be at these peace talks, because he's concerned that if there were to be a trilateral meeting with Zelensky and Putin and Trump, that potentially Zelensky would be bullied into agreeing to something that he wouldn't want to agree
Possibly.
to. So he says we need a European country there to represent.
Well, I sort of think with that, I think if we should send anyone, we should send Boris Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Frankly.
That's a very good idea.
Because Boris gets on with Trump. And obviously Zelensky adores him, as do the Ukrainians. They adore Boris Johnson because he stepped up very, very quickly. So if we're going to if we send anyone to negotiations, it should be Boris Johnson.
Should be our special envoy or something.
Whether you like him or not, and whether you liked him as PM or not, on the Ukraine issue, he was very, very strong.
Yeah.
And actually, he'd be a very good bridge as far as that goes.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. Yeah, let us know what you think on that one. Should we get a check on the weather?
Let's.
With Alex Burkle.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. For many of us, it is going to be a fine day today. Most of us will see some decent sunshine, and in that sunshine, it's going to feel pleasantly warm. But across the northern parts, it's a slightly different story. There is some wet weather here, quite persistent rain to start the day across parts of Shetland. Otherwise, across many parts of Scotland, there will be outbreaks of showery rain pushing through, and we have some blustery winds here as well. Across Northern Ireland and some parts of northern England, a bit cloudy at times, but across the rest of England and Wales, lots of sunshine, and in that sunshine, temperatures will rise. We're looking at highs of around 25 Celsius towards the southeast, so feeling pretty warm indeed. After a largely fine day, it's going to be a fine evening across much of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit more cloud pushing into some parts of the southwest, but it looks quite high cloud, so just turning the sunshine a bit milky. Otherwise, a fine picture for most. A bit more cloud still across parts of Northern Ireland and Northern England. 1 or 2 spots of rain can't be ruled out, but it's really across many parts of Scotland, especially the northern 2/3 of Scotland, where we have the greatest chance of some outbreaks of rain as we go through this evening. And still, those blustery winds. Most of the showery outbreaks will actually clear away for a little period of time across northern areas, but then a front is going to push its way in from the northwest. So some potentially heavy rain pushing into parts of northwest Scotland and maybe northwest Northern Ireland, but elsewhere across the rest of the country it's looking dry with some clear skies, and so temperatures maybe a touch lower than some recent nights, and with that there could be a few pockets of mist and fog first thing tomorrow morning. And then through tomorrow itself, that front towards the northwest does gradually edge its way a little bit further south and east, so just about pushing into parts of northern England, but it breaks up as it goes, so not bringing a huge amount of rain here. Plenty of showery bursts across Scotland following in behind, still quite blustery here, but a fine picture towards the southeast ahead of that front, and here temperatures look like they'll be a touch higher than today.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, 17 minutes past 6, it's time now for our daily reflection.
The GB News Daily Reflection.
Hi, I'm Brenda, Vicar of St Francis Anglican Church in Ingleby Barwick. You may have heard the miracle story of Jesus feeding 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fish. There's also a lesser-known story about Jesus feeding 4,000 people with 7 loaves and a few fish. On this occasion, Jesus looked at the crowd who'd been following him and said, "I have compassion for the crowd, because they have been with me now for 3 days and have nothing to eat. If I send them away hungry to their homes, they will faint on the way." This shows us the state of his heart, that when we choose to follow him, Jesus cares when we are in want of something. Now, there's a difference between wanting something for selfish reasons and being short of something that Jesus wants for us to use for good. This is my first church as vicar, and I'm resolved not to focus on our poor finances, but to focus on my faith in Jesus and his provision. We're currently short of money to upgrade our technology and to build the disabled ramp for our new community porta cabin. Yet, on the morning of our summer fair, before we opened, we stood in a huge circle around this church and prayed that it would be the best fair ever. And do you know what? We had the best day, full of laughter, love and shared time together.
Still to come for you. The government's homelessness minister has had to quit. We'll tell you why in a moment.
This is our country, and we think it's amazing. From high tea to the high street, we love it all. Even the rain, we like that too. There's nowhere else we'd rather be. That's why we're here to be the fearless champion of Britain, its voices and its values. Because we are GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
.23 now. Let's have a look at politics here in the UK because Rushanara Ali, a name you wouldn't have heard of probably until yesterday. She was Homelessness Minister, but she's gone after claims she evicted her tenants by telling them she was going to sell the property that she owned before relisting it and hiking up the rent by £700 a month.
Well, Conservative MP Kevin Hollinrake called it a staggering hypocrisy after she vowed to challenge unreasonable rent increases.
In her resignation letter, she said she had followed all legal requirements, but said staying on would be a distraction from the government's work.
Well, joining us now to discuss this is commentator Peter Barnes. Good to see you this morning, Peter. What do you make of this?
Well, yet again, we're out to the Labour's favourite thing is do as I say, not do as I do. You know, this strikes yet again to the hypocrisy that I think is at the heart of the Labour Party and this government. I mean, for me, it's the staggering arrogance to think that you can kind of get away with this and not understand the optics. You know, you can say that this, you know, she didn't break the rules, nothing she did was illegal, but it's the idea that she didn't understand how this could be perceived, I find staggering. There is a core bit of political naivety, but again, I'm looking at a political party with no kind of operation behind it in terms of keeping people in line. This is what the Tories fell apart with, and they always do. There's no kind of strong whip. The operation out of number 10 is all over the place. Nobody seems to be holding this all together. That was what Sue Gray was doing, but you know, the hypocrisy is one thing, but obviously with the Renters' Rights Bill, the moral authority of that is basically dead for the Labour Party.
But yes, well, maybe, but it's still going to get through. Yeah, isn't it? But I mean, the problem is, it looks like they'll push through a Renters' Rights Bill, but the people in charge of it don't actually think it's the right thing because they're bypassing it. Yeah, definitely. And this is the problem: is that you could pass the law, but they can't sell it. They've nothing to then run on and say, look, we've made it better for you. Because most renters will look at this and say, well, wait a minute, you know, you could have gone further. You're dodging the rules and all the rest of it. But if you look at this in a wider perspective, you've also got the housing problem, which you know the Labour Party have also been caught under, with Sadiq Khan this week being caught out with smoke and mirror accusations over his numbers, and Angela Rayner lowered the targets, the mandatory building rates and all the rest of it. You know, the issue of housing is central to our economy, it is central to growth, and the Labour Party has no grip on any aspect of it whatsoever, and that should concern everybody.
To be fair to the government, though, as you say, this was an issue that plagued the Tories, and you'd see ministers that were wrapped up in scandal who would limp on, wouldn't they, for days, potentially even weeks, and it would be on the front page of every single newspaper. At least with this government, it seems, I know we're talking about 4 ministers, 6 ministers, however many number of ministers there is, they go and they go quickly. I mean, it's dealt with within a matter of hours. Yeah, I think that's true, but I think this one in particular is because I think they've learned the lesson, so this has gone very quickly. It's also a very clear, you know, like, there's no way of arguing around it, but I do think, again, it's also the fact that when it comes to the Labour Party, they've always viewed themselves as better. You know, they have a sense of moral superiority over quite a lot of these issues, but
again, the Tories, when they do it, they were a bigger name as well. I think that plays a big factor. Say, for example, it was Dominic Raab, it was, people like Priti Patel. But, this particular minister, I mean, I had to Google who she was. They're not a known name to the public, so they can kind of push them out, as it were, pretty quickly. If you look at the minister who resigned over a previous fraud investigation into her, not many people had heard of Louise Fox, really, so she was able to kind of be carted off pretty quickly. I think that is the great advantage. But again, that kind of unknown name comes at the price of kind of political experience, which the Labour Party is struggling with at the minute.
It's interesting. She's previously said, I mean, I don't know if this will be, because she said she was going to sell the house, which is a legitimate reason for evicting people. But she's previously said no fault evictions, which she managed to bypass by doing this, and one of the leading causes of homelessness.
Yes.
So she's sort of... It's like she's known what she's done and she's deliberately skirted the rules.
And I think with this one, I think that's what makes it worse, is she knows what she was doing. This wasn't an accident. There was no way of saying, oh, well, I did this. Or, she made a decision. She knew the rules. She also knew the political points that she stood on in public. And, yeah, she's just thought that the rules don't apply to her. And, again, I think this is at the heart of the Labour Party. What's the old quote from Animal Farm? Some of us are more equal than others. I think we're starting to see that yet again.
But this is something you would normally... Look, it's not unusual in any political party, but it's normally what you would see when a party's been in power for towards the end of 10 years or 15 years. We're talking 1 year.
Yeah. I mean, let's be real, the Lord Alley scandal came out, within months of the general election. So, and it wasn't just one or two. It was most of the cabinet, a whole selection of the Labour Party have been kind of... it's not breaking the rules, it's circumventing them, it's finding ways around them and exploiting loopholes, which, again, I just think that makes it look so much worse. But it's this point of party discipline. It's this point of keeping everybody together. Everybody knows big majorities are very difficult to control, but it looks to me like they have zero control because the whips don't seem to exist anymore.
OK, Peter Barnes, thank you very much.
Now, if you're travelling to work this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 is closed westbound between junctions 27 and 29 due to essential overnight roadworks. Drivers should follow the signed diversions. On the M4 westbound at junction 42, Earlswood resurfacing work has closed the road with diversions in place. In Essex, traffic on the A12 northbound is halted between junction 19 and junction 20B due to a road traffic collision. On the trains, disruption between Bedford and London St Pancras International is affecting the East Midlands Railway, while the Island Line morning services are reduced. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now, here's your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year and then get a bonus £5,000 in your bank account. It's the latest Great British giveaway, don't you know?
It's very good. And guess what?
What?
If you haven't got a mortgage or rent, you can still enter and win £15,000. Here's how.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you, we'll give you £15,000 in cash instead. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here.
I'm Michelle Duke, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's News Channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique. And you're fighting like rats in a sack. But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask. OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician. Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits. You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel. Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Paul Coyte's here with the sport. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, marvellous.
That's good.
Marvellous, with the fantastic news about the...
Hold on.
The Ballon d'Or.
The Ballon d'Or.
One of my favourite things to say.
Yes. It's a balloon of the day, apparently. That's not right, is it?
Gold.
Yes.
Something gold.
Ball. No.
Golden ball.
Yeah, is that right? Anyway, it's the best football. I prefer just... Oh, someone's going to Google this, I imagine.
That'll be me. Hang on.
Ballon d'Or, the nominations are out for basically the best footballer in the world. This is the main award.
Translates to Golden Ball.
Golden Ball, yeah, I thought it was Golden Ball. So September the 25th in Paris is where it will happen.
Right.
But what's interesting is that who nominates it, it's the French will do it. So you think it's the biggest world football awards, but it's down to the France Football, journalists from France Football and L'Equipe who will vote.
It's journalists who vote on it.
Yes, and French ones at that.
Oh.
So this is why there's been a French winner for the past 58 years.
Oh, well, yes.
No, that's not true.
So they're paying for the trophy.
Yeah, you think it's fair enough. But, you know, but you think that the FIFA awards... But anyway, this is the one that everybody wants to win. So, interestingly, there are 9 Paris Saint-Germain players who are nominated. Surprise, surprise. But there's a women's award and there's a men's award. So, as far as the women are concerned, the good news is 5 lionesses. I don't know about the other starting 6 will feel about this, but 5 lionesses have been nominated for the women's Ballon d'Or. So we've got Lucy Bronze, Chloe Kelly is there, Alessia Russo. Oh, look, we're going to go there. We've got the pictures there in time. We've got the goalkeeper, Hannah Hampton. She's nominated as well because she had a fantastic tournament, and Captain Leah Williamson. So they are all nominated to win the main award. As far as the men are concerned, it was always like Lionel Messi or Ronaldo, wasn't it? Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, yeah.
Always one of those.
Yeah.
But now they're in their 60s, they're not going to be nominated.
Oh, stop
so
it.
we have. So these are the Brits, because the thing is, there's loads that are nominated.
Yeah, yeah.
So from here, we've Declan Rice is nominated.
Yeah, OK.
Also nominated is Cole Palmer.
Yeah.
And you know, you're a big fan of Cole Palmer.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
There he is.
He just nails it every time.
Especially with the Club World Cup, played very well. Harry Kane's nominated. He scored against
We love
Spurs
Harry
yesterday,
Kane.
so we've gone off him after what we did yesterday.
we don't. OK.
Jude Bellingham is nominated. No surprise there, playing as Real Madrid. And now this is the interesting one, Scott McTominay. Now, Scott McTominay was pretty much got rid of by Manchester United because they didn't think he was good enough. Gone to Napoli, and it's just blossomed.
Yeah.
And now things are going very well for Scott, so we're very pleased for him, and he's nominated for a Ballon d'Or. So September the 25th in Paris is when it will happen.
Oh, good.
Would you like to say it one more time?
What?
A Ballon d'Or.
Oh, Ballon d'Or. Oh, yeah, my favourite thing ever. Right.
Forget so quickly. What was that thing about memory we were saying?
No, she's no friend.
No friends.
Yeah.
No strong relationships, clearly.
Yes.
Harry Kane, look.
Oh, yeah.
So you've gone off him.
He's gone off the boil for you, has he?
Well, no, he's playing for Bayern Munich, and Spurs played Bayern Munich in a friendly yesterday.
I think that's all right, then.
Lost 4-0. Well, he didn't celebrate, and he did miss a penalty, which was a nice gesture.
He didn't celebrate?
I thought, well...
I think that's
quite
classy.
nice.
That's classy.
See, it's always that thing about not celebrating against teams that you played for, which, generally, I mean, let's be honest, if you score a goal, you should celebrate.
No. I think it's showing respect for your former side. I like that.
Yeah.
I do think that's really classy.
And I think he just loves Spurs. Spurs is his home.
Yes.
And he has to do his day job, so...
That's his day job.
Look,
so anyway,
I think that's
he scored the first goal.
I think we can forgive that.
And it was a friendly as well.
Yeah.
And then he had a penalty and skied it. And I'm thinking, Harry, well done. He slipped over, but Spurs were pretty much dominated 4-0 by Munich. But then Spurs are playing in the Super Cup final against the team that have got all those nominations for the Ballon d'Or, Paris Saint-Germain, in Udine. Udine, you know where that is?
No.
It's where Udinese play. It's close to Venice and Trieste, that sort of area, and that's where it is. Very difficult to get into. Not many hotels. So that's where that is. So that's going to be Wednesday. So I will be there. Surprise, surprise.
Excellent.
So I will.
You're leaving us, aren't you?
But I will be back to talk about how things went.
Are you going to speak to us live?
Yes, I think so. I think if you'll have me,
That'll be nice.
Of course we'll have you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Excellent.
Nice.
Lovely stuff. All right, Paul. Thank you. We'll catch up with you later.
Thank you.
Now, still to come, Susan Holder and Duncan Barks are here running through the papers with us. Morning, you two. We'll be with you in just a few minutes. But first, if you're in search of some holiday sun, here's the forecast across Europe.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, and the weather across southern Europe is looking pretty dry for most places, albeit a bit of rain is pushing across Madeira. Meanwhile, for Spain, Portugal and even France, the heat is continuing to build, so temperatures for some could be getting into the high 30s, maybe even low 40s through the weekend. Meanwhile, across parts of Italy, Greece, even into Turkey, lots of dry and hot weather here, and that's how the outlook is looking as well, staying largely sunny.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
Have you seen the president yet?
Morning, guys. No, not yet. We're just in the press room behind the scenes. I've got my Trump Turnberry coffee cup, though, just to prove to you that I really am here. We're waiting here basically until we get the nod to run out, hopefully to see Donald Trump and Keir Starmer together. These occasions, I'm realising, are a little bit sort of hurry up and wait. We think that the Prime Minister and the President might be meeting outdoors today. Yesterday, you might have seen Trump with Ursula von der Leyen in the amazing ballroom, in the grand ballroom here at Turnberry. Well, the weather is surprisingly nice for Scotland. The sun is out, it isn't raining. So there's a chance that we will get to talk to these two world leaders, but we won't be in the ballroom. We'll be outside, I think, on the golf course. We're just waiting to hear.
And what's the atmosphere like, Bev? Is there a lot of excitement?
I think amongst the press, they're all fairly used to this sort of thing. I mean, I still feel a little bit like a competition winner because I came on Air Force One, and I'm still really excited about the whole ordeal. But I think a lot of people here have done this sort of thing before. You know, we've had an influx this morning of the British press. So I'm with the international call who came over on Air Force One, and there are about 13 of us. But the British press are here as well today. They're all obviously keen to get their own questions into Starmer. It will be that setting where, you know, we just all go for it if we can and throw a question out in that direction. I got lucky on Friday when we were on the runway at Prestwick Airport, Glasgow Prestwick Airport, when we landed on Air Force One, and I asked him about immigration, and of course he gave us that line about the fact that Europe has to get its act together.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, you didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Time for the papers at 6:43 with the author and journalist Susan Holder and the political commentator Duncan Barks. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Duncan, let's start with the Sun, should we? Because it's asylum seasiders.
Yeah, front page of the Sun this morning, and they've been to Bournemouth in Dorset, where it turns out there were...
Beautiful Bournemouth.
It's lovely, lovely part of the world. Great beaches, great coastline. There are some quite unhappy tourists at the moment because 3 of the hotels have been commandeered by the Home Office, including the Chine Hotel, the Roundhouse Hotel and the Britannia Hotel, and they're being used as what we would term these days as asylum hotels. And consequently, what you're finding, and the Sun has talked to various tourists in the area who are spending a couple of £100 a night to stay by the seaside and go to the beach, and they're saying, we just don't like this because just around the corner, 100 metres up the road, you've got people staying in these hotels. They're being paid for. In some cases, the Sun has revealed that they're working illegally, so they've done an undercover investigation. And to be blunt, people are quite hacked off with the fact. And, you know, this feeds into, if you look at the polling that's out at the moment, migration, illegal migration, is the top issue for people in this country at the moment. So you see stuff like this. We're in the holiday season, and we know in other parts of the country there have been tensions and frictions regarding asylum hotels and local residents who are not happy about that happening in their neighbourhood.
Well, I have to say, I was in Bournemouth in June, and we've been to Bournemouth for many, many years. We used to take our kids there when they were young, and I've seen Bournemouth kind of deteriorate quite a lot over the past few years for various reasons. I think seaside towns with migrant populations anyway, because when you've got transient populations, because you've got all those rooms, and then a lot of people do kind of move in and out of it. But I was shocked at the state of the place.
Really?
And the amount, the impact that this has had. I saw, the Roundhouse in particular was right by where we were staying, the amount of migrants, and it isn't just holidaymakers who are ticked off with this, I have to say.
No. Oh, no,
obviously, it is the residents of the place who see these people coming in, doing all those jobs. The bikes and the Deliveroo bikes all outside the hotels were there for all to see,
Really?
so you could tell that that's what they were doing, that all the people, all the bikes were going, but they would just be all kind of lying on the ground opposite. Bournemouth is also a university city, so there's a lot of students there, and there are a lot of very angry parents who are very worried about one of the hotels is right opposite the entrance to the campus, where a lot of young people are going in and out, and particularly obviously for the young women. There are all these groups of young men stood around, and you know, it's just not good. We actually kind of found out as well, there was all stuff in the local papers, the incidence of sexual offences in the area has gone up 80%.
Yeah.
Oh.
You see, the challenge with this is, and in many cases, as you rightly point out, Susan, it is undocumented young men staying in these hotels, and they come from cultures where the rights of women are pretty low down the pecking order, you know, and it's...
Well, there aren't any.
Well, I'm trying to be polite. I won't be polite. There aren't any, you know. So when you put people who come from those cultures into our country where we do things in a different and, to be blunt, a better way, it's of concern to people, and rightly so. And also, this Sun report reveals, and just picking up on the illegal working, you know, the government said, oh, we're talking to various companies like Just Eat and Deliveroo to tighten up their procedures. Well, clearly, it's not working, because there are pictures here of people, you know, with those bicycles delivering food and stuff, who are staying at these... I
was saying to Chris Philp from the Tories yesterday, are ID cards now going to be a necessary evil? I know a lot of people don't like the idea, but I just wonder what impact it would have.
I saw that.
I'm willing to try anything. Actually.
I saw that interview, but I just think would it really stop this happening? It might stop some illegal working.
Well, it stops some. It would stop the illegal
working. It might do until they found a way of making ID cards that are faking it, because there's always a way. There's always somebody ahead of you with that.
And there's always going to be an employer who's prepared to take a bit of a punt and just go, I'll tell you what, cash in hand, I don't really care where you come from, you're cheap labour. So I'm not entirely sure that is the solution.
Yes, but if there was an ID card system in place, then you and an employer bypasses it, then you can really throw the book at them.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there because I just think, well, heck, what have we got to lose?
I'm not convinced, because I remember, I'm old enough as a man hurtling into middle age to remember under the Blair administration they were so desperate to introduce ID cards in this country, and it never happened. And it's the Tony Blair Institute who are very keen and are saying to this government, the ID cards, they're the answer, and it's almost like getting what Blair wants through the back door a couple of decades later.
Well, maybe.
Susan, let's take a look at the Telegraph, shall we? And middle-class children risk being shut out of the best schools.
Yes. So this is at the moment, if you're trying to get your child into school, there are kind of, if you don't have children and haven't been through this. So for anyone who doesn't know, the way that they look at the application at the moment is through whether you are you have special needs children, obviously top priority, whether you have siblings already in the school, and then distance to school. But what this is saying in the Telegraph is Keir Starmer plans to update the Equality Act to impose a socio-economic background kind of category in there. So they have to look for that and give those priority. So quite how, it doesn't explain how they would look at socio-economic, but hilariously they're saying it would give priority to more working class. Well, given that Keir Starmer doesn't quite know what the working class is and can't define the working class, please tell me what the working class is. He doesn't know. And now I think to say working class in Britain today, I think it's just a really weird kind of phenomenon that doesn't kind of exist, because people work very hard in all levels of society, and I don't think working class means what it used to mean, and I don't think it should mean what it used to mean. I think everyone works very hard, and if you own your own company, you work harder than most people ever work. But does that mean that you're not as good as the working class? It's ridiculous. But they're looking into this, and what it means is the school would kind of get more points and kind of more credit, I think, for taking on those children. And for children who now are struggling, parents who want to put them into private school can't afford it and are looking for good schools, they're now thinking that this might mean that they're kind of pushed further down the pecking order.
It's divisive, though, isn't it?
It is.
This whole thing is divisive, and this term middle class, and you know, you're absolutely right, Susan. How do you define in the 21st century someone who's working class or middle class family? It's really difficult. But this idea that somehow middle-class families, their children might lose out. Everyone should have the same opportunity. So this kind of policy is just massively divisive.
It is, yeah. I mean, I disagree with about the working class thing. But that aside, the point is children should have equal... I mean, if you can't give children equal opportunities, you know, you shouldn't be penalised because your parents are doing better.
Yeah, and you can't help what you're born into.
No.
Yeah, but what I mean is it's kind of it's more grey area now.
It's very grey.
What is working class and what isn't working class? And some jobs could be immediately labelled, well, that's a working class job, or if you live in a certain kind of house. But how are they going to decide your socio-economic? Is it just on if your dad's a postman or if your dad's a
Well, they are looking at things like that, aren't they? What your dads do, but I mean, frankly, I mean, if you're a train driver, I think you're classed as working class, but you can be earning £70,000 pounds a year.
Yeah. Correct.
Which is a huge amount of money.
It doesn't. One shape does not fit all.
It doesn't.
At all.
No. Duncan, can we have a look at smart meters which don't work?
We can.
No.
I don't have one. Do you have one?
Yes.
No, you have one.
No.
How do you find your smart meter?
Well, I don't really pay any attention to it.
That's what they bank on, though, isn't it?
Well, there's an issue that some smart meters apparently are going dumb. And what that means is the technology's not working, so it's not sending back the data it needs to the energy company.
Oh, well,
technology not working?
But that must have been what because I've recently had my smart meters all redone.
Right.
Because previously, and for several years, then I had smart meters in, but then they were still coming to do meter readings, which I was thinking, why are you doing this?
Curious.
So they can't have been sending any information back.
There appear to be a problem where we have...
Yours might have been a damn smart meter.
Well, 3.5 million of them. 3.5 million smart meters have gone dumb because they have lost their ability to send usage information. And this new bit of legislation that's been brought in by Ed Miliband is that the energy companies, if you end up with a dumb smart meter, you'll get £40 compensation.
Oh, excellent. Well, I love Ed Miliband.
And all of your smart meters are obviously dumb.
Well done, Ed Miliband.
You get £40 as a one-off payment?
Well, if
or £40 a week, or £40 a month,
it's a
or
one-off
£40
payment
a year?
of compensation. If your smart meter's been classed as dumb, it's not been sending the information.
Well, I think that's you. I think you should get in touch.
I can't believe you had somebody come and read your meter. I've not known anyone come and read a meter for years. You have to read your own
What's
now.
interesting about this is that there has been, and there remains to be, a massive drive to get people to have smart meters, right? I mean, I don't have one because I deliberately ignore the text messages and the letters.
They're quite good in the sense that...
Did your bills go down?
Well, what you get access to is things like these spaces. So they email you every week with my supplier and say, do you want to join this? I think they call it Peak Save or something this week. And you join it, and then for that period of 12 hours or however long it is, you get you get cheaper electricity.
Right, so your bills have gone down.
So your bills...
Yeah.
I've saved £1.10 in the last month.
Wow, that's a win.
Well,
that's almost a Mars bar.
And went to 12-hour windows overnight.
No, it's like afternoons and things. But because you've got a smart meter, they know exactly when you're using that electricity, so they can work it out. So things like that are good,
but not if they're dumb. Not if they're not sending the information back.
All these things are good if they work.
They work.
The problem with all this technology that's ever come is it's great until it doesn't and then it's worse than what you had before, in my opinion.
Oh, bar humbug. I've saved £1.10p.
Wow.
Good for you.
What are you going to spend it on, Stephen?
Oh, I don't know.
You can get a third of a coffee.
I'm still planning. All right, you two, thanks very much indeed. We'll see you later.
Let's go check on the weather with Alex Burkle.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. For many of us, it is going to be a fine day today. Most of us will see some decent sunshine, and in that sunshine, it's going to feel pleasantly warm. But across the northern parts, it's a slightly different story. There is some wet weather here, quite persistent rain to start the day across parts of Shetland. Otherwise, across many parts of Scotland, there will be outbreaks of showery rain pushing through, and we have some blustery winds here as well. Across Northern Ireland and some parts of northern England, a bit cloudy at times, but across the rest of England and Wales, lots of sunshine, and in that sunshine, temperatures will rise. We're looking at highs of around 25 Celsius towards the southeast, so feeling pretty warm indeed. After a largely fine day, it's going to be a fine evening across much of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit more cloud pushing into some parts of the southwest, but it looks quite high cloud, so just turning the sunshine a bit milky. Otherwise, a fine picture for most. A bit more cloud still across parts of Northern Ireland and Northern England. 1 or 2 spots of rain can't be ruled out, but it's really across many parts of Scotland, especially the northern 2/3 of Scotland, where we have the greatest chance of some outbreaks of rain as we go through this evening. And still, those blustery winds. Most of the showery outbreaks will actually clear away for a little period of time across northern areas, but then a front is going to push its way in from the northwest. So some potentially heavy rain pushing into parts of northwest Scotland and maybe northwest Northern Ireland. But elsewhere across the rest of the country, it's looking dry with some clear skies, and so temperatures maybe a touch lower than some recent nights. And with that, there could be a few pockets of mist and fog first thing tomorrow morning. And then through tomorrow itself, that front towards the northwest does gradually edge its way a little bit further south south and east, so just about pushing into parts of northern England. But it breaks up as it goes, so not bringing a huge amount of rain here. Plenty of showery bursts across Scotland following in behind. Still quite blustery here, but a fine picture towards the southeast ahead of that front. And here temperatures look like they'll be a touch higher than today.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Attention all drivers, the M8 is closed westbound between junction 27 and junction 29 due to essential overnight work. Please follow the signed diversion. Similarly, the M4 westbound at junction 42, Earlswood, is closed for resurfacing with marked diversions. Drivers in Milton Keynes should be aware of a broken down vehicle on the M1 southbound entry slip at junction 14, affecting one lane. Traffic is expected to clear by 7 to 7:15 this morning. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway is experiencing disruptions between Bedford and London St Pancras International. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year. We'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m, only on GB News.
Good morning. Breaking news overnight as Israel's security cabinet approves plans to take control of Gaza City.
Meaning the IDF could invade Gaza City any time as part of what they're calling as a 5-step plan to end the war.
We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas.
Humiliation for Labour as the Homelessness Minister, Ellie, quits over an evictions row. Is it going to threaten Labour's Renters' Rights Bill?
Bournemouth residents are up in arms as it's revealed that 3 hotels in the heart of the city are handed over to accommodate asylum seekers.
The deadline draws near on Donald Trump's deadline for Russia to agree an end to the Ukraine war.
Should cabin bag charges be scrapped? Well, we're debating that this morning after social media users rage at budget airlines and their baggage policies during the summer season. We're debating that in around 20 minutes' time.
And in sport this morning, 5 Lionesses are up for the coveted Ballon d'Or award, while Manchester United outcast Scott McTominay gets nominated after a great season with Napoli. Not ideal Super Cup preparations for Spurs. They lose 4-0 to Harry Kane's Bayern Munich yesterday. It's only a friendly, it doesn't count. And the Wales head coach, Steve Tandy, Can't believe his luck now that Lewis Rees-Sammet's given up American football for a return to rugby.
Morning. We're going to have a fine day of weather for many parts of the UK to end the week, but not everywhere. Stick around for the details.
It's just gone 7 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Right, we're going to crack straight on with the politics, actually, at coming up to 2 minutes past 7, because Rushanara Ali has resigned as Homelessness Minister over a backlash that she evicted tenants, saying she was going to sell the house before actually remarketing it and putting up the rent by £700.
Well, Conservative MP Kevin Hollinrake has called it a staggering hypocrisy after she vowed to challenge unreasonable rent increases.
Well, let's see what the Deputy Leader of the Lib Dems, Daisy Cooper, has to say about it. She joins us now. Good morning to you. Are the Tories right on this one?
Look, I think it's absolutely right that Rushanara Ali has resigned. The fact of the matter is she has acted within the law, but as a minister she was trying to change the law, and she hasn't acted in the spirit of the new law that she wanted to introduce. So I think she's right to resign on this issue. But let's be honest, what really matters here is the fact that there are millions of people who are either homeless or facing homelessness. And what really matters for those people isn't the actions of Rushanara Ali. What really matters is that the government gets a new homelessness minister in place as soon as possible, so the Renters' Rights Act and other protections come in force as quickly as possible.
What do you think this means for Labour's Renters' Rights Bill?
Well, I hope that it means that it's not going to be delayed. We do need to get that new minister in place as quickly as possible. Labour did make a big play about this before the general election. They did say they were going to increase protections for renters. They were going to stop unfair evictions. We Liberal Democrats called repeatedly for extra protections for renters. So I hope very much, I don't know what it will mean, but I hope very much that the government will act quickly, appoint a new minister and crack on with the Renters' Rights Bill as quickly as possible.
Can we talk about migrant hotels? I mean, they're on the front of the papers almost every day at the moment. The latest scandal is these 3 hotels in Bournemouth. People are very upset about that. It is consistently now the illegal migration, the number one issue, the number one concern when you talk to voters, when all the polls are done. What are the Lib Dems proposing we do about this mess that we're in?
But I have said so many times it is an absolute scandal how we've ended up in this situation, and the amount of money, the millions and millions of pounds of taxpayers' money that has been spent on putting asylum seekers into hotels is a real shameful legacy of the last Conservative government. So we want to see a couple of things. The first is we want to see the processing times speeded up. That's why we have been calling repeatedly for the failed and ridiculous Rwanda scheme to be scrapped, just exactly so that money, the millions of pounds the Tories want to spend on that, could be used.
Forgive me for butting in, but the whole what we seem to be seeing here pretty clearly is that without any sort of scheme in place that will put people off from wanting to come here, they are still going to come. And the numbers are up 50% year on year or thereabouts, so as we understand it. So we do need a deterrent. And you might not have liked it, but Rwanda was a deterrent.
It certainly wasn't a deterrent. The numbers went up while the government was announcing that, the last government was announcing that scheme. It didn't work at all.
No, they didn't.
What we have said is you need to separate out people who have a legitimate claim from those that don't. And those that have a legitimate claim should be able to make their asylum claim from a safe country while they can be processed, they can come with their family in an organised fashion, so they don't have to come on a boat. And at the moment, it's incredibly hard for people to do that. So if you opened up the safe and legal routes, which would allow people to claim asylum from a safe place close to their home country, then we could actually manage this process better. And that would mean you would reduce the number of people trying to cross on the boats. And when you have fewer people trying to cross on the boats, it's much easier to then target the gangs and to stop people from crossing who shouldn't be crossing in the first place. And for as long as this government refuses to put in place those safe and legal routes, the challenges with the small boats is only going to get bigger.
What do you make then of the government's deal with France, this one-in, one-out deal that's come into force this week? And we heard yesterday that the first migrants have been detained under this new deal and they could be removed within weeks. Are you supportive of this deal and do you think it will work?
Well, look, I think these are baby steps in the right direction. But to be honest, I think people will be sceptical as to whether or not it does work. We need to see far more ambition, I think, from both Britain and France in terms of tackling this problem. But part of the solution has got to be introducing those safe and legal routes so people who do have a claim can claim from a safe country close to their home country rather than travelling all the way here and getting on a small boat in the first place.
I know you wanted to talk about mortgages today. We've seen, I mean, the base rate down to 4% on Wednesday. It's the lowest it's been for 2 years. I mean, you're arguing that that's not being passed on to homeowners with a mortgage because things like, you know, 5-year fixed rate deal is down just 4%, whereas actually there's been a 19% fall in the base rate from July 2024. But the reality is on this, and yes, it would be lovely to see those rates down even further, but on fixed rates, the banks have to brace themselves against potential rises as well as further falls, don't they?
Look, the reality here is that the Bank of England has made several decisions, which is that it can reduce the base rate as it has done over the last year. And the banks have decided not to pass on those lower rates to homeowners when they've been offering new deals. And we think that they're basically using homeowners as a cash cow. That can't be acceptable. So the reality is that if the banks had passed on these lower rates to homeowners, then somebody on a 5-year fixed term contract for their mortgage would have been saving £1,000 a year. That's a huge amount of money in a cost of living crisis. For someone on a 2-year fixed rate, they would have been saving just shy of 500 quid a year. So, you know, these are significant sums of money, and we think the Chancellor should haul in the bosses of these big banks and ask them straight up, you know, are you using homeowners as a cash cow? Are you trying to make a quick buck? Or is there another reason for this? Because we think it looks like they are trying to make a quick buck.
I just wonder if it's a bit clickbaity, isn't it? I mean, if you get a 2-year fixed rate deal, they're down by 13%. A 5-year deal down by 4%. Well, but you can't offer these deals on what is currently the lowest rate because there's a very good chance they're going to go up again. I mean, that's the whole point of fixing your rate. You're protected against any further rises, but also it means you don't benefit from any further falls.
Well, look, banks are always going to want to make a profit. Banks are always going to charge a premium. But this is a fairly clear-cut case where the Bank of England has steadily been reducing these rates over time, and the banks have not been passing that on to consumers. And I think that there are big questions for them to answer about why that is.
OK. Daisy Cooper, appreciate your time, as always. Thanks very much indeed.
Now, at 7:09, and to breaking news overnight, Israel's Security Cabinet has approved Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's proposal to occupy Gaza City.
Well, the reported goal to evacuate all Palestinian civilians to central camps before imposing a siege on Hamas militants who are still in Gaza City.
Well, this follows Benjamin Netanyahu's announcement yesterday that he plans to take control of all of Gaza as part of that 5-step plan, before then handing the territory over to Arab forces.
In order to assure our security, remove Hamas there, enable the population to be free of Gaza, and to pass it to civilian governance. That is not Hamas and not anyone advocating the destruction of Israel. That's what we want to do.
Let's talk to Defence and Foreign Affairs Editor at The Telegraph, Con Coughlin. Con, it's always good to see you. Does this plan make any sense?
Good morning to you. Well, it does to me. I mean, I think obviously it's generated enormous amounts of controversy, but I think the key fact that's been overlooked in the sort of the storm of controversy this decision has generated is that a week or so ago, Hamas made it very clear they were not going to accept any ceasefire. They praised Keir Starmer for his plan to recognise a Palestinian state. and they indicated their determination to carry on fighting. So that's the Hamas position, which very rarely gets mentioned in this debate. And in those circumstances, the Israeli government, has very few options. I mean, they are committed after the October 7 attacks, when Hamas terrorists launched their unprovoked attack on Israeli civilians and massacred them. The Israeli position since then, unequivocally, has been to destroy Hamas. So these are the two immutable objects in this debate. And that's the reason, well, that's the explanation, I suppose, why Netanyahu's government has now decided the only option they believe is viable to get rid of Hamas is to completely occupy the Gaza Strip. But as you've indicated, this is a very controversial move, both in Israel and beyond, and is going to generate a lot more criticism for the Israelis.
And what does this mean for the hostages that are still in Gaza, Con?
Well, that's a very good question. I mean, clearly, a great amount of peril, because Hamas have been using them as pawns in their rather despicable game since October 7. I think we've all seen those images of one of the hostages, one of the Israeli hostages, emaciated, being forced to dig his own grave. I mean, these are scenes we haven't seen since the Holocaust. So, what happens to the hostages? I mean, Netanyahu clearly thinks that by invading what's left of Gaza that's not under Israeli control is the best means of getting the hostages out. I think there are 20 left who are believed to be alive. There are lots of dead Israeli hostages as well. So that's his aim. Whether this will succeed is another matter.
I mean, but part of the controversy around this scheme, this plan, is that it's not going to work, actually, in the medium to long term unless he can get Arab nations involved to, in effect, take over. And, I mean, is that even likely?
Well, I mean, one of the sort of curiosities of this is that the Israelis and the Arab governments, and we're talking about the sort of more pro-Western Arab governments like the Saudis and the Gulf states and Egypt, Israel and the Arab states want the same objective. They want Hamas not to be in control of Gaza. And if Hamas were to give up control of Gaza, the Arab states have said they will come in and rebuild it and look after it. And then you can start talking about a peace process. Then you can start talking about a Palestinian state, which Sir Keir Starmer is so keen to recognise. But, I mean, first of all, you've got to deal with the Hamas problem. And while the Arab states will criticise Israel for this conduct, privately, their view is that Hamas must be destroyed. So they're on the same page, but they just won't admit it.
Con, whilst we've got you, can we ask you about the Ukraine situation? Because we know that President Trump wants President Putin and President Zelensky together for peace talks. How likely do you think that is to happen?
Well, it's a big ask. There's a lot of bad blood between Putin and Zelensky, which predates the war. And Putin doesn't even recognize Zelensky as the president of Ukraine. So, it's very, very difficult. I mean, I think with the choreography of this is, first of all, let's see if Putin and Trump get together. And there are lots of conflicting messages coming out of the White House, whether it's going to be a bilateral or a trilateral. But I suspect the initial opening gambit will be a meeting between Trump and Putin. And if, and it's a big if that happens, then there might be a subsequent meeting involving Zelensky. But as I said, the choreography of this is very complicated. And I think, we just have to see what happens.
It's interesting because you you put a lot of caveats on this. I mean, from the White House and indeed from the Kremlin at the moment, saying, "Oh yeah, this is now going to go ahead. We don't know quite when or where." You sound still pretty sceptical, Con.
Well, I just think the two sides are light years apart. I mean, whatever Trump says and whatever happened when his special envoy, Steve Witkoff, went to Moscow this week to meet with Putin, Putin's fundamental demands have not changed. He wants to keep control of the Ukrainian territory that he's captured. He basically wants to neuter Ukraine as a state. He certainly doesn't want it to join NATO or the European Union. And these conditions are completely unacceptable to the Ukrainians and also to a lot of people in America and the West. So, until they are so far apart, even if they did meet, one wonders what they're going to achieve. So, sorry to be so pessimistic, but I've been following this very closely for 20 years, actually. So, I'm not suddenly going to change my mind that this is going to be resolved easily, because Trump thinks he's going to have, a very high-profile, media-driven summit with Vladimir Putin.
Hey, we don't mind pessimism as long as it's realism, which is what matters.
I do my best.
Yeah, I know you do. I know. Con Coughlin, always good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.
Thanks, Con. He's good, isn't he? Very good.
Yeah, we are so lucky we have some real experts on these very complicated matters. And as Con, Robert Fox earlier on, they know their stuff.
They do.
So we are
experienced.
We're very pleased that we can get to talk to them about these awful things. Because I mean, the reality is, whatever you hear out of the White House, it doesn't mean it's going to happen at the moment. And even if they get this even if they get this meeting, even if Putin sits there and says all the right things, we know from his track record, doesn't mean he's going to deliver on any of it.
Does it, necessarily?
No.
Will we get this trilateral meeting? No, it seems pretty far away at the moment, doesn't it?
It does, but as I was saying earlier on, if that were to happen, Boris Johnson at the table as well, sort of backing the Ukrainian side, might be a good move.
I think it's a very good idea. Some sort of special envoy. Ukraine or something.
You can't imagine Keir Starmer appointing him. That's the trouble.
No.
But I actually think it would be the right thing to do.
Let us know what you think on that one. gbnews.com/you'll say.
Right, let's have a look at the weather for you with Alex.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. For many of us, it is going to be a fine day today. Most of us will see some decent sunshine, and in that sunshine, it's going to feel pleasantly warm. But across the northern parts, it's a slightly different story. There is some wet weather here, quite persistent rain to start the day across parts of Shetland. Otherwise, across many parts of Scotland, there will be outbreaks of showery rain pushing through, and we have some blustery winds here as well. Across Northern Ireland and some parts of northern England, a bit cloudy at times, but across the rest of England and Wales, lots of sunshine, and in that sunshine, temperatures will rise. We're looking at highs of around 25 Celsius towards the southeast, so feeling pretty warm indeed. After a largely fine day, it's going to be a fine evening across much of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit more cloud pushing into some parts of the southwest, but it looks quite high cloud, so just turning the sunshine a bit milky. Otherwise, a fine picture for most. A bit more cloud still across parts of Northern Ireland and Northern England. 1 or 2 spots of rain can't be ruled out, but it's really across many parts of Scotland, especially the northern 2/3 of Scotland, where we have the greatest chance of some outbreaks of rain as we go through this evening. And still, those blustery winds. Most of the showery outbreaks will actually clear away for a little period of time across northern areas, but then a front is going to push its way in from the northwest. So some potentially heavy rain pushing into parts of northwest Scotland and maybe northwest Northern Ireland, but elsewhere across the rest of the country it's looking dry with some clear skies, and so temperatures maybe a touch lower than some recent nights, and with that there could be a few pockets of mist and fog first thing tomorrow morning. And then through tomorrow itself, that front towards the northwest does gradually edge its way a little bit further south and east, so just about pushing into parts of northern England, but it breaks up as it goes, so not bringing a huge amount of rain here. Plenty of showery bursts across Scotland following in behind, still quite blustery here, but a fine picture towards the southeast ahead of that front, and here temperatures look like they'll be a touch higher than today.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Now, here's your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year and get a bonus £5,000 in your bank account. It's the latest Great British giveaway.
It's a good one as well, isn't it? And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, fear not. You can still enter and walk away with £15,000 if you're the lucky winner. Here's all the details you need.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you, we'll give you £15,000 in cash instead. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, still to come. Have you ever been caught out getting on a plane with the wrong bags? Well, oversized bags. No, oversized bags, I think we mean by that. I generally, maybe I shouldn't admit to this on TV, but it's too late. I always go on with oversized bags. But I get very panicked and stressed. Thankfully, I haven't been caught out. I generally try and hide it behind me or make it look smaller.
I don't think you're on your own with that one.
Yeah. Oh, it's getting very difficult these days.
Yes.
Because sometimes, I won't say the name, but some budget airlines, they're now making you put it in
the little cage.
The cage. And even if it's a centimetre over, they're charging you on the spot.
Yeah.
And I've seen it happen to a lot of people.
So should we scrap charges for cabin bags altogether? Anyway, we're debating that next.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, just like week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently.
It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it?
It's explosive.
I mean, this is very good.
It's lively.
850. Your government sat there short and it did nothing.
It's controversial.
And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born.
It's everything you need to kickstart your evening.
Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it.
That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
$7.26 now. Budget airlines back in the firing line. Passengers accusing carriers of unfairly charging for cabin bags.
Yes, ground staff are sometimes incentivised by bonuses, and they've been accused of flagging perfectly well-sized bags as oversized, leaving travellers frustrated.
Well, yes, but if they're not oversized, they can't do you if it's not oversized.
I think sometimes it can be quite close to the line. It can be, honestly, about a centimetre over, and they're like, that's a £50 fine.
Well, it's then oversized, isn't it? But it's not a fine. Did they fine you, or did they just force you to put it in the hold?
I think, no, they fine them. They charge you. They give you £50, £75 fine. I've seen it happen on the spot.
Right.
I think there should be some sort of leniency, maybe a 10% margin or something.
Well, maybe. Well, Brussels is stepping in. Good old Brussels. Anyway, they're proposing rules to guarantee a free cabin bag, better protections for families, whatever that means, and more fair transparency. Airlines say that'll push up prices.
So this morning we're asking, is it time that we scrap cabin bag charges?
Let's talk to travel journalist Hayley Sparks and travel editor at The Sun, Lisa Minot. Lisa, is it a good idea or not?
Well, actually, it's not a case of is it a good idea, but actually, do we still want to have cheap fares? If we want cheap fares, then I'm afraid it's going to be the case that we're going to have to expect that we're going to have to charge for luggage in the way that we have always had to do with sort of low-cost airlines in the last few years.
But this hasn't always been the case, has it, Hayley?
Now, I think it's better to have an upfront policy where it's clear straight away what the price is. Often you have to go 4 pages into a website before you even get the full cost of your flight. I've seen families in tears because they've been over the budget allowance with some of these budget airlines. And from a customer services perspective, think of all the business that they actually lose, because the last moment before you get on the flight, potentially you've got up to £75 fine. Are you going to then want to return to that airline? So they can lose so much repeat business. And why not just offer a discount for passengers that do decide to travel without luggage? I think the majority of us do need to bring a cabin bag when we travel.
But the issue is with that, Hayley, if everyone takes on a nice size cabin bag, there's not enough room to put it in the plane.
Exactly. Well, you have the option of the hold, and maybe if you incentivised people who do want and require those budget prices, they'd be happy to travel without one because they would receive that discounted price, and then everyone would be happy.
Lisa?
Well, I mean, I think the problem is that airlines say that actually a lot of people travel with just under-the-seat bags. They say that, you know, the majority of their customers do that. If you look at it not just in terms of like a holiday environment, but the fact that people are jumping onto these planes for work, for business, and very often they can go with just an under-seat bag. The argument being is, one, as you say, the plane just isn't big enough for every person to take on a handbag and a cabin bag. There just isn't enough room in those short-haul flights or the short-haul airlines to have everybody have one. So you've got that, and then the fact that they will eventually have to start charging all of us more to make up for that, because the ancillaries, so not just the luggage, but the idea that you can buy your own seat, that's where most low-cost airlines make their profit these days. 30% of some of their airlines' profit just comes from those ancillaries alone. So if we want that to happen, what will happen then is that everybody will be paying more.
Yeah, so I mean, so that's the key to this, Hayley. We may get rid of the stress and the worry and the concern over our baggage, but we're all going to pay a lot more for our flights.
Well, there are budget airlines that I travel on that do include being able to take a small case with you, and they manage it, and they are budget as well. So I think it can be done.
OK. Hayley, Lisa, thank you very much. Let us know what you think at home as well. gbnews.com/yoursay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's very difficult when they say the only free thing you've got is there's something that can fit under the seat.
I can imagine that to you, though. I bet you only take a little tiny rucksack, don't you?
We pay extra, and so you can take that and you get one that you can put in the overhead lockers. But they're still only small.
Yeah, it's still only a...
Still only small, but if we do that, we can do 2 weeks.
What?
We can do 2 weeks with that.
With one little suitcase?
Yeah, each. One each. No. So you sort of pay for the, faster boarding, and you get and with that you get slightly more leg room, and you get to take a cabin bag as well as an under-seat bag.
Oh, I could never.
And you get a couple of weeks out of that. You just pack
properly.
Couple
of weeks. No, I'd do a night with a small suitcase, and then after that, it's going to have to go in the hold.
Is that because you take 18 pairs of shoes?
18 pairs of shoes and all the toiletries.
Oh, toilet. Well, you don't need to take toiletries.
I want full-size toiletries.
Well, no, you
can't.
So
I just put everything in the hold.
Well,
now.
That has to go in the hold.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
so I just get hold luggage now. I can't.
So we don't take any toiletries. Take your toothbrush, and then buy everything else when you get there.
Maybe that's the way forward. Anyway, let's think on that one. I need to see how you pack.
Everything's rolled. You roll everything.
Oh, that's the trick, is it?
Oh, you see, this is where men and women
I need an education.
You'd never do it. You'd never do it.
I couldn't do it.
Anyway, Paul Coit could. He's here with the sport. That's next.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The M8 is closed westbound between junctions 27 and 29 due to roadworks. Follow the diversion. Meanwhile, the M4 westbound at junction 42, Earlswood, is shut for resurfacing with diversions in effect. Towards Milton Keynes, a southbound entry slip on the M1 at junction 14 is obstructed by a broken down vehicle blocking one lane. And on the trains, expect major disruptions on East Midlands Railway and Thameslink services between Bedford and London St Pancras International. Stay informed and exercise caution in affected areas. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record. You say that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more.
Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Not enough, is it? Paul Coit's here with the sport. Good morning.
So are you doing the...
No, so she's tight, right? So
no, I'm not tight. I was very generous, actually.
It's a lottery tonight.
Yeah.
A big lottery.
We have to play because we can't play our own competition here. We're not allowed.
Yeah.
172 million quid. I said,
Up for grabs.
if you won it, could I have 5? Just to see me through. And she went, you could have 1.
Right.
Which I think is really tight.
I'm giving you £1 million. That's really generous.
I think it's really tight.
Just offering you £1 million.
Yeah, and he has the audacity to call me tight.
It's not good enough for you.
I think 5 is
1 million would
reasonable.
see you do very nicely.
Ellie, I'd be very
much.
happy with 1 million. Thank you very much.
I'd be happy if you gave me £1 million. I'd be very happy with that.
What are you going to do with the 171 you've got left?
I'd be very generous to lots of people. Give lots of people £1 million.
Every viewer will get
Every
money.
viewer
Yeah.
can have £1 million.
It's funny because when you get the lottery, it's everybody's all of a sudden interested when it gets to 170 million. If it's like 50 million, it's I'm not playing for 50 million. 50 million, 170 million. Oh yes, I'll be involved in that.
Yeah.
good,
Sounds doesn't it?
Because we're all basically greedy.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Ballon d'Or, September the 25th in Paris, voted for by French football and sporting journalists.
But this is the one they all want to win.
Yeah, it's the famous one, is the Ballon d'Or. You know, this has been going for years. And so this is the one everybody wants to win. There's now the Women's Award as well. 5 Lionesses have been nominated for the main prize. There's Lucy Bronze, Chloe Kelly and Alessia Russo. Goalkeeper Hannah Hampton is in there as well, who had a very good Euros. Captain Leah Williamson are all nominated. In the men's, well, there's 9 players from Paris Saint-Germain that have been nominated. So if you're the other 2, you think, well, what did I do wrong?
Oh, that's true.
You know?
Maybe we'll just put the whole team in.
Just put the team in. Well, they'll probably win the team of the year. But anyway, Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, Cole Palmer. So I think he'll do very well in it. Declan Rice is nominated, and Scott McTominay, which would be... Nobody would have dreamed that Scott McTominay would have been nominated for a Ballon d'Or maybe 3 years ago, maybe even more, but he's gone over to Napoli, left Manchester United, and he's been brilliant. So well done to him.
Yeah, that was good. So not too long to wait then, 6 weeks?
Yeah, it's not long.
6 weeks.
Yeah, it's
happening very quickly.
What's going on with Lewis Rees-Zammit?
Well...
Because he was the rugby player who went off to play NFL, isn't he?
Correct. But the thing is, it's always a tough ask that you're going to go over and try and make it in the NFL. If you think... So he's a rugby player, and a very successful rugby player. He's a great winger for Wales, and he joined the International Pathway Programme. So, I mean, it's a big deal to think, I'm going to give this up and I'm going to try my hand at American football. His dad was a big fan, and he was growing up, and it was his dream to do it. And so good luck to him. The teeth there are magnificent, aren't
He looks very American in that shot.
He looks very American. Very American.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't really worked out, but if you think that what you're up against, every young man that plays at school, plays in college, there are millions that play it. So even though he's a top rugby player and very fit and everything, it's still a different sport.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing to try. I mean, he got to... He didn't make the roster, which is the last 53 in the roster with the Kansas City Chiefs. Jacksonville Jaguars, we call our Jaguars, the Jacksonville Jaguars, same thing as well. Did well, but didn't quite make them. So he's made the decision, think, OK, I've given it a go, hasn't worked out for me, so I'm going to come back now and play professional rugby again. Now, Steve Tandy, who's the Welsh coach, says Zammo brings a big effect and excitement by coming back. See how excited he sounds to bring him back into the Wales squad. I think it's great for the game. He's gone away to experience something new, which is class, and I'm sure he'll be in outstanding physical condition. So he'll be back, and his 32 caps for Wales means he can play in any country he wants to and still play for Wales. So good for him for doing it and giving it a go.
He's still only 24.
Yeah.
He's had 2 careers. 23 already.
Yeah. So he's gone out and given it a go.
And they call him Zammo.
Zammo.
Oh, no.
I don't think it's named...
That's such a boy thing to do.
I don't think it's named after the Grange Hill Zammo.
It's just you know, before your time. But it just was Zammo from Grange Hill. It's all I can think of with that.
Yeah. Just say no.
Scar.
just say no. Just say no, Zammo. Right.
What's floorball?
Well, the World Games is on.
Is it?
The World Games is kind of like a huge... Well, it's like the Olympic Games, but with sports that are not in the Olympic Games.
Excellent.
Baseball is in it. Billiards. Balls. There's no tiddlywinks yet.
Balls?
French balls, you know when they do...
Oh, boule.
Boule. So a boule.
Boulet.
Tank, it's like that, right? It's with a metal boule.
Boule.
There's cheerleading is in there.
Really?
There's life-saving. Is
a
one of the sports. So I don't know whether you chuck someone in that can't swim, and they go in after them.
Oh, dear.
I don't know. I don't know.
In China, you see, the same health and safety doesn't apply in the same way.
Is that right? So is that why it's over in China? The tug of war, orienteering. Let's have a look at floorball, shall we? I'll tell you what floorball is. Well, what do you think it looks like?
Looks like hockey.
Yeah, it pretty much is. It's pretty much hockey with a lighter, hollow plastic ball, so it doesn't hurt quite so much if it hits you. So there's no protection there. They don't need any protective equipment, but it's indoor hockey is pretty much what it is. And they call it floorball. I don't know why they just say hockey, but then again, hockey is in the Olympics, so these are sports that are not in the Olympics, in the World Games. Lacrosse, by the way, is also there, and Great Britain beat China.
Oh, well
We have a team, do we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah. I don't know about the life-saving. I know we've got anybody in the life-saving. I'm not really sure, but I will check that out.
It's the St John's ambulance team.
Do they have the person that's saved is a member of the team, do you think? Who just have to hold their breath for a long time until they're saved? I don't know.
I don't know.
Throw in a randomer and then fetch them out.
Or throw the brick in the water and with the pyjamas on, like you used to have to do with those. Did you have to do that in school?
Yeah. I was quite good at that back in the day.
Oh, yeah, your sports come to an end, I think.
You could be a medalist, I think.
I could be in the World Games, I think.
I feel I've overstayed my welcome already.
Yeah.
Never.
All right, Susan Holder and Duncan Barks are going to take us through the papers in a moment. First, though, here's the European forecast.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, and the weather across southern Europe is looking pretty dry for most places, albeit a bit of rain is pushing across Madeira. Meanwhile, for Spain, Portugal and even France, the heat is continuing to build, so temperatures for some could be getting into the high 30s, maybe even low 40s through the weekend. Meanwhile, across parts of Italy, Greece, even into Turkey, lots of dry and hot weather here, and that's how the outlook is looking as well, staying largely sunny.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good afternoon, Britain. Weekdays from midday.
Now, the National Memorial to Queen Elizabeth II will include a new bridge in St James's Park, designed by Norman Foster.
Yes, the translucent bridge will be inspired by the tiara the Queen wore on her wedding day.
But let's get more now from St James's Park with our royal correspondent, Cameron Walker. Cameron, what's the memorial going to be like?
Good afternoon, Tom and Emily. Yes, the wait is finally over. We have the final design from the renowned architect Lord Foster, who famously once criticised the King for his views on architecture. But of course, today it's all about honouring Queen Elizabeth II and her legacy. On that theme, at Marlborough Gate, which is the big gate you see behind me, which overlooks the Mall, that's going to be renamed Queen Elizabeth II Place. And there is, according to the artist impression, going to be a big statue of Queen Elizabeth II riding a horse overlooking the Mall. Of course, incredibly poignant because she had a deep love of all things equine. Incredibly poignant, of course, as well, significant love between Prince Philip and the late Queen. It's going to apparently, according to the architect, or hinted by the architect, light up at night as well, which is meant to symbolise all the diamonds that were part of that tiara. And the Queen famously also gave it to her granddaughter, loaned it to her granddaughter, Princess Beatrice, for her wedding in 2020. And then we come to the final part of St James's Park's Queen Elizabeth II's memorial, and that is going to be right here at the other end of the park, overlooking Birdcage Walk, going to be renamed Prince Philip Gate, because a new statue of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip is going to be erected at the other side of St James's Park. It's meant to be them, according to the artist's impressions, in their younger years.
GB News, the People's Channel.
This is Britain's newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's newsroom, weekdays from 9:30am.
Only on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Welcome back to Breakfast. We're going through the papers in the company of author and journalist Susan Holder and political commentator Duncan Barks. Morning, you two.
Hello.
Susan, let's start with you, shall we? In the Daily Express, the front page this morning, a pill for weight loss on the NHS.
A lot of papers have gone quite big on this. It is indeed the holy grail we were always promised, isn't it? You can take a pill, eat what you like and be thin. Sounds marvellous. So this is what seems to have happened. So it's not a jab anymore. They've done trials that have shown that there is a pill that in the trials at the most £27 on average over 18 months. The people who took the biggest doses were losing.
So it's not as much as you would lose on a jab.
Well, possibly not. It's for people obviously who don't want to have injections. It's a daily pill and not a weekly jab. It is made by the same company that make Mounjaro, is it?
Yep.
And they're now looking for obviously approval from the Medicines and Healthcare Regulatory Agency, so that by the end of the year it could be available on the NHS. People are quite excited about it. However, right at the bottom it says, reports suggest that Wall Street investors had expected stronger trial results of the drug, and shares in Eli Lilly, who make it, have fallen by 13% yesterday morning. That's a bit contradictory.
Yeah.
So they're going heavy on all this in all the papers. It's brand new. This is the holy grail, and yet this fell on the stock market. So that's a bit of an odd one, I thought.
Yeah, but it is also the thing, you can't just eat what you want.
Well,
you're meant to diet at
but that's the trouble with all of this, isn't it? You give anybody... There's never... An easy fix is never quite as easy as you make out it to be.
And it needs to be offered along some sort of nutritional programme as well, doesn't it? Because unless you're going to take these pills, these jabs the rest of your life, and we're not actually learning anything, are you, about...
You're not.
Well, there's a lot of stuff out there, isn't there, that when people come off the jabs, they put the weight back on. I mean, look, as someone who is quite well padded and upholstered myself, you know, I spend a lot of time trying to not put weight on, never mind losing weight, and I'm always interested in stuff like this, but I think it has to go hand in hand with understanding going forward after you come off the jabs about what you eat. And also, I don't think, I mean, whilst many of the jabs have gone through clinical trials, we don't have any evidence going back 10 to 15 years about the long-term impact, and I think that is something, is a question mark for some people. But, you know, Wes Streeting, the health secretary, is well behind this kind of stuff, because ultimately, get it right, it could save the NHS money in the long run.
And for people who are diabetic and people who've got health conditions that are being affected, and instead of trying to fix that further down the line, it could cure it early. There's lots of ways that you can see the benefits of this. I will just note, though, there are side effects, obviously, and the side effects, similar to the jabs, actually, could be on the top dose, things like constipation, diarrhoea and vomiting. So, it's never just quite as simple as you think.
Weight lose weight.
Well, that is one way to do it,
This is very odd, because presumably, this is in the Telegraph, Duncan, presumably Kemi Badenoch has put this story out herself.
Kind of.
But she's a snitch.
Some might say she's a grass, Stephen.
Oh, yeah.
So she's done an interview, and in the interview she talks about when she was at school in Nigeria, being in an exam, and she caught someone cheating, and she actually stood up and pointed to this bloke who was cheating. He's cheating, he's cheating. So this has come out as part of an interview that she's done. She says that the people, some of her classmates said that was just a really wrong thing to do. Others said it shows you've got guts. So I think maybe this
is that what she's aiming for? I've got guts, I will dob somebody in.
You say she pointed at a bloke. She pointed at another child who then got expelled.
Well, that's the end result of it. But just picking up on that point, you know, it's like... You do this interview, you obviously want to raise awareness that you exist, and I say that in a nice way, because there's still a big chunk of people in this country who don't know she's a leader of the opposition or what she stands for. And it's this kind of like, all right, so you've given this example, and you're saying that some people said, well done, it shows you've got guts. Do you remember a few months ago, she was on the record saying, I don't eat sandwiches because it's not a proper food. You get this stuff coming out, and you think, I don't quite know this is working for you.
No.
It doesn't add to her likeability.
I mean, I think she's going for the thing we're missing everywhere, which is integrity. I have integrity, this is what I did. But it's a very unusual move for a 15-year-old girl, I would say, to put us head above the parapet. Also, are there not teachers and kind of examiners in the room? That's their job, invigilators, to do that rather than another child. If you were concentrating on your own work, why are you noticing that? You shouldn't be looking across at somebody else.
There's just I don't know what it is about.
It leaves a bit of a bad taste.
That it doesn't seem right.
Nobody likes the grass.
We don't. No, nobody likes the grass. We don't like cheaters either. But you wouldn't grass.
Well, we don't. But at the end of it, and she says she wanted to be top of the class, and so she doesn't want to. But actually, if you're doing your own work and you get the best mark you can get, what does it matter what anybody else gets to you? Really?
I think you're right. I think it's misguided. This I really do.
I think it's misguided.
And you're right. People in this country they don't like snitches.
No. All right. There you go.
Susan. This is a nice story, isn't it? Quite heartwarming. Ozzy Osbourne didn't have a clue how many people loved and adored him.
Well, he was shown, wasn't he? So, so Ozzy Osbourne, who died very suddenly a couple of weeks ago, I know he'd been ill for a very long time and people will be aware of that, but, I mean, I, along with everybody else, pretty much thought Ozzy was indestructible. And it's always a shock when you find out that people aren't. And I know we shouldn't kind of find that shocking, but we do. He did the huge concert in Villa Park a couple of weeks ago, which obviously raised £140 million for charity, split between Parkinson's, Acorns Hospice and Birmingham Children's Hospital, I think.
Incredible.
So what an incredible achievement. But what apparently the BBC have been filming, because there is going to be a documentary called Coming Home, which of course is the last song he sang on stage in that concert, which will be aired on August the 18th. And as part of the filming, between the concert and his death, Sharon has been speaking about the fact that he was so moved by the outpouring of love that he got to witness just before, which is such an unusual thing. People have memorials and people in his position might have concerts and people kind of doing all sorts of things after they die. But he got to see that, and I do hope there is some comfort in the family in that, actually.
Yes, when you look at it like that, it's almost like a tribute concert.
It totally
before
is.
He died.
It's the best kind of tribute concert. I always think, we were talking about this before, I always think kind of memorials and funerals and it's always kind of...
It's a bit too late.
It's always a bit too late, where people come out with all the kind of things they should have said. And Ozzy heard all that and he saw it, and apparently he was very moved. And he said to Sharon, I had no idea so many people liked me.
So glad he did that gig. It's so important it happened.
Well, it's poetic, isn't it, really?
We were in Birmingham
between
that concert and before he died, and Birmingham had just been transformed into a whole Black Sabbath kind of sea of tributes everywhere. It was just amazing to see.
Yeah. Look, we're down to 40 seconds, Duncan. The Star says we're a nation of swingers.
It's not the headline you might think it is. This is all to do with parents who secretly love playing on swings, jumping on bouncy castles and having water fights. So this is the stuff that they say to their kids. Let's go to the fun fair. But actually, really, it's mum and dad who want to go to the fun fair. Top of the list is going to the beach.
Yeah.
And
building sandcastles.
It is one of the best things about having kids, though, that you get to do things that you loved as a kid and you share that then with your children. One of the things that wasn't on this that I thought was quite great is taking them to go and see Santa and going to visit kind of Santa's grottos and things, which you can't do as an adult without a small child. That looks odd. But when you have but I love to do that. And when you take small children, it's acceptable.
Ah,
Good,
magic
isn't it?
of Christmas. That's nice.
Great stuff like that. I love going on the swings.
Yeah, I love going on the swings.
Never go on the slide, though.
No.
Adult hips are not built for that.
And you never know what's been on the slide.
No, you
It
don't.
is true.
Fantastic point.
On that cheery note, thank you both. We'll see you later.
Let's have a look at the weather.
Today, clouds overhead. Total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. For many of us, it is going to be a fine day today. Most of us will see some decent sunshine, and in that sunshine, it's going to feel pleasantly warm. But across the northern parts, it's a slightly different story. There is some wet weather here, quite persistent rain to start the day across parts of Shetland. Otherwise, across many parts of Scotland, there will be outbreaks of showery rain pushing through, and we have some blustery winds here as well. Across Northern Ireland and some parts of northern England, a bit cloudy at times, but across the rest of England and Wales, lots of sunshine, and in that sunshine, temperatures will rise. We're looking at highs of around 25 Celsius towards the southeast, so feeling pretty warm indeed. After Largely fine day. It's going to be a fine evening across much of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit more cloud pushing into some parts of the southwest, but it looks quite high cloud, so just turning the sunshine a bit milky. Otherwise, a fine picture for most. A bit more cloud still across parts of Northern Ireland and Northern England. 1 or 2 spots of rain can't be ruled out, but it's really across many parts of Scotland, especially the northern 2/3 of Scotland, where we have the greatest chance of some outbreaks of rain as we go through this evening. And still those blustery winds. Most of the showery outbreaks will actually clear away for a little period of time across northern areas, but then a front is going to push its way in from the northwest. So some potentially heavy rain pushing into parts of northwest Scotland and maybe northwest Northern Ireland, but elsewhere across the rest of the country it's looking dry with some clear skies, and so temperatures maybe a touch lower than some recent nights, and with that there could be a few pockets of mist and fog first thing tomorrow morning. And then through tomorrow itself, that front towards the northwest does gradually edge its way a little bit further south and east, so just about pushing into parts of northern England, but it breaks up as it goes, so not bringing a huge amount of rain here. Plenty of showery bursts across Scotland following in behind, still quite blustery here, but a fine picture towards the southeast ahead of that front, and here temperatures look like they'll be a touch higher than today.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Box Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Road users should exercise caution on the A87 Skye Bridge due to high winds affecting driving conditions. The M4 westbound is closed at junction 42, Earlswood, for resurfacing work, with diversions in place. In Essex, on the A12 northbound, between junction 19 and junction 20B, a road traffic collision has resulted in all lanes being closed, with normal traffic conditions expected between 11:15 and 11:30 this morning. And on the trains, there is major disruption between Bedford and London St Pancras International, affecting both East Midlands Railway and Thameslink services. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Let us take on some of your financial stresses and pay your mortgage or rent for the next 12 months. We want to give you a cash lump sum equivalent to 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an unbelievable £20,000. We'll also boost that by a further £5,000, so you really could have some fun in the coming year. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Good morning. Breaking news as Israel confirms plans to take control of Gaza City.
Meaning the IDF could invade any time as protesters in Israel rally outside Benjamin Netanyahu's office.
We want to liberate ourselves and liberate the people of Gaza from the awful terror of Hamas.
Humiliation for Labour as the Homelessness Minister Ellie quits over an evictions row at a house she rents out. But could it threaten Labour's Renters' Rights Bill? Deputy Leader of the Lib Dems, Daisy Cooper, shared her thoughts earlier.
The fact of the matter is she has acted within the law, but as a minister she was trying to change the law, and she hasn't acted in the spirit of the new law that she wanted to introduce. So I think she's right to resign.
A GB News exclusive reveals a Labour group is under fire after it promoted an asylum hotel counter-protest.
The deadline dawns on Donald Trump's deadline for Russia to agree an end to the Ukraine war.
We meet the woman who weaned herself off painkillers after developing an addiction to everyday medication.
And in the sport, 5 Lionesses are up for the coveted Ballon d'Or award, whilst Manchester United outcast Scott McTominay gets nominated after a great season with Napoli. Not ideal Super Cup preparations for Spurs as they lose 4-0 to Hurricanes Bayern Munich, and the Court of Arbitration for Sport will hear Crystal Palace's case today that they should be allowed to play in the Europa League after breaking their joint ownership rules.
Morning. We're going to have a fine day of weather for many parts of the UK to end the week, but not everywhere. Stick around for the details.
Just gone 8 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello. This is GB News Breakfast.
All right, just want to bring you some breaking news we're getting. It's a statement from the Prime Minister about the Israeli situation. This is what Keir Starmer's had to say. The Israeli government's decision to further escalate its offensive in Gaza is wrong, says Keir Starmer. We urge it to reconsider immediately.
They say this action will do nothing to bring an end to this conflict or to help secure the release of the hostages. It will only bring more bloodshed. Every day, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza worsens, and hostages taken by Hamas are being held in appalling and inhumane conditions. What we need is a ceasefire, a surge in humanitarian aid, the release of all hostages by Hamas, and a negotiated solution.
The Prime Minister goes on to say Hamas can play no part in the future of Gaza and must leave as well as disarm. Worth pointing out, Hamas has said they're not going to do that. Together with our allies, we're working on a long-term plan to secure peace in the region as part of a two-state solution. Let's talk to the chairman of the Conservative Party, Kevin Hollinrake, who lots to talk to him about. We'll start off with this, if we can, Mr. Hollinrake. I mean, what do you make of what the Prime Minister's had to say about this? Because he's reiterating his point, isn't he, that he wants Hamas to disarm and sort of surrender control of the Gaza Strip, something which actually it's already said it's not going to do.
Well, exactly. I mean, it's just wishful thinking, isn't it, to think that could happen. I mean, it's a desperate situation. We're all shocked what we see on our TV screens. But the reality of this is Israel's fighting for survival in that region. Hamas still runs Gaza. If there was an unconditional ceasefire, which is what the UK government has called for, then what possible situation could come about where Hamas would lay down its weapons and simply leave that territory and no longer play any part in Gaza? So it's an intractable situation. It's incredibly difficult. Of course, we want to see a minimisation of civilian casualties and loss of life, both in Gaza and on the West Bank. But there's no easy answer to this, and an unconditional ceasefire, or indeed a recognition of Palestine in the situation it's in today, is simply unworkable. And I think the Prime Minister knows it, and I think he's simply trying to please his backbenchers.
Can I ask you about the situation in Ukraine? Because we know that President Trump wants President Putin and President Zelensky together for peace talks. We know there's going to be a bilateral talk between Putin and Trump. We're yet to hear anything about a trilateral meeting. But Sir Ben Wallace, the former Defence Secretary, has been talking about this, saying that Britain needs to be invited to the table. He's concerned that if there were to be a trilateral meeting, that Zelensky could potentially be bullied into signing something unless the British are there. What do you make of that as an idea, that Britain be invited into these peace talks? And we've been discussing the idea of potentially Boris Johnson being some sort of special envoy to Ukraine. What do you make of that?
Well, I've got the greatest regard for Sir Ben Wallace, and I listen carefully to anything he says. That sounds like the right move to me. The UK has always been a voice of reason when in negotiations, in international negotiations, particularly where the US is involved, particularly right now. So I'd welcome that. Whether that will actually happen with Keir Starmer in place, I'm not entirely sure. But we need a peaceful resolution to this. It's good potentially that Zelensky and Putin are going to get around the table with others. That's got to be a first step on this road to peace. So on the face of it, we certainly welcome it.
Closer to home, though, we've got this situation for the government at the moment over the Renters' Rights Bill. Rushanara Ali, the Homelessness Minister, who's now had to go after her personal situation, which, I mean, let's be honest, she hasn't broken the law. She's made clear in her statement, she's abided by all the rules. They're just rules which she says needs to change to protect people from being made homeless.
Well, she was proposing the change, that's the point, and she was arguing for the change and criticising others for not operating on that basis. So it's a classic case of do as I say, not as I do. So I don't think she can hide behind that. And I take no joy in calling for the resignation of the Homelessness Minister, as we did yesterday. And I think her position was untenable on that basis. But you can't simply say, well, this current situation is not fit for purpose, we need to change it, and then not abide by those changes yourself. And I think actually what Rushanara Ali did was quite extreme, actually. And I've been in the property business a long time, and to basically end a tenancy and then put the rent up by 20% for the next tenant is quite extreme. And most landlords don't do that. And particularly when you're advocating a change yourself and moralising about that change, your position is just not tenable. And I've got to say, it's a pattern of behaviour.
Forgive me, though. What does that then say about the bill itself? It's going to get through, obviously, because Labour's got a massive majority. But does this mean that the bill itself is, in effect, I don't know, morally bankrupt?
Well, it depends where your perspective on this. I don't agree with the bill because what it will do is it will reduce supply of rented property, which is bad for renters. That's the point, because lots of landlords, particularly small landlords, do not want a situation where they can't take back possession of their own home in certain circumstances, and that's what this bill stops them doing. I don't support it. I've never supported this kind of change, but Labour do, and they've been moralising about those changes, but then in practice, not following their moral position. That's not sustainable. And we're seeing this position, of course, it's not the first time we've seen this with the freebie scandal, with the tickets and the suits and the glasses, all those things. Labour says one thing, does another, and we're getting quite used to this, to be quite honest.
Mr. Hollenreich, we're being told we're out of time with you, but I just wanted to quickly ask you about your leader, Kemi Badenoch, and an interview she's given to the BBC. Pretty strange admission from her. She seems to be proud about the fact, she regales the story about being at school and having a classmate expelled because she snitched on him when she saw him cheating in an exam. And in another part of this interview, she talks about rejecting God and no longer believing in God because of the Joseph Fritzl case. I just wonder what she's hoping to achieve with these sorts of admissions and this sort of interview. Is she wanting to be more likeable? Is she hoping that this means that more people will vote for her? And if so, who's advising her?
Well, in my experience of Kemi, I know her a long time, and I was one of her ministers for 18 months. She says those things because she's incredibly honest, and she's decent, and she's got a strong sense of right and wrong. So she would have no problem in setting out a position. And she's not the kind of person who will say one thing and do another. She will follow through on what she says. She's strong, she's got courage, and that's why I voted for her. I think she's the most authentic person in politics. So
yeah, but your general voter up and down the country doesn't like a snitch, a grass, which is what she sort of proudly shoved her head above the parapet and said she was.
Well, listen, people have different perspectives. I don't agree with that. She is doing something. She saw to be something was doing something wrong, and she stood up to and was counted and prepared to be counted on that basis. So that was clearly her position. That's what I like about Kemi, is that she got that courage and strength to do that. Not many people would have that courage and strength, and I really admire that.
OK. Kevin Hollenreich, good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, joining us now for some reaction to all of that is former political advisor James Price. And James, you were shaking your head to that last answer.
Well, the idea of people being authentic in politics, I think, is good and important. The bit that gets me is who you think you were going to win over by rejecting God, right? At the time when the Conservative Party, my party, we need a miracle to get back into things. Rejecting the big man upstairs doesn't seem like perhaps the best political strategy. But maybe we'll see that. What's the old phrase? Snitches get stitches, I suppose, in some contexts. But perhaps the public will look at this and say there's someone who's always had a firm moral backbone. We'll see.
I don't know. It just seems very odd to me. I mean, generally, people who grass other people up are not considered likeable.
Not quite. Although we did have an awful lot of this through COVID. And I fear that was one of the most iniquitous bits about the lockdowns, this idea of if you saw 7 people in the garden rather than 6 people in the garden to call the police. And that had, I think, a pretty corrosive impact on society as well.
I don't know, it just feels like she's... I mean, with the best will in the world... It just feels like she's a little bit out of touch with this. Because part of it's one thing to, snitch on someone cheating, all right, but this boy got expelled. I mean, it's actually pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty strong mustard, isn't it? At a time when there are so many stories that we'll hopefully talk about, more Labour, corruption and hypocrisy and horrors and all the rest of it going on, it doesn't seem like this is the kind of thing that the Conservative Party would be best suited focusing on.
Yeah. No. Do you remember, talking about the out of touch, do you remember last year when she said she didn't consider sandwiches as food?
Oh, yes.
And she doesn't like sandwiches. I was like, you can't say that to the British people. They love a sandwich. Anyway, should we talk about Roshanara Ali? She's now quit. The Tories, just speaking to Kevin Honorick there, said that this was an example of great hypocrisy. What do you make of it all?
I think that's absolutely right. I mean, Roshanara Ali, from my limited interactions with her when I was in government, seemed like one of the better Labour MPs. She seemed to have her head screwed on. She seemed reasonably bright. How have you got the lack of judgment to do something like this? You own this property, you kick these people out, you whack the rent up and think you're going to get away with it for not a huge amount of money, really, in the grand scheme of things. It's a lot of money to some people, but to lose your whole career and your reputation over, it's bonkers. And it's not the first time this has happened with all these Labour MPs.
No, well, the issue with this is that, she has previously said, and wanting to change the law in the renters reform bill, to say people should not be able to do no-fault evictions. People should not be able to bump up the rental payments significantly because it's bad. It makes more people homeless.
Yeah.
And then she's gone and done it.
What is Starmer's lot playing at when they were doing the vetting on these sorts of people? You've got the anti-homelessness minister making people homeless. In the case of Tulip Siddiq, she was the anti-corruption minister getting caught up in corruption, where her auntie, who was the Prime Minister of Bangladesh, literally had to flee the country because the corruption got so bad people were rioting in the streets. You've had several other people. The Transport Secretary was done for fraud, where what was that about? She was trying to claim for another mobile phone that was supposedly nicked, but it wasn't, so she could have a second phone. And why are these people ruining their careers over these paltry sums? And when it comes to the renters' rights stuff, there's so much hot air that is expended in politics about housing and living. The only thing that's going to fix this, the only thing that's going to bring house prices to a level where younger people can afford to buy them, or rents to a level where people can not be homeless, I'm afraid, is if we build more houses. Right? And that is the only way that this works. The law of supply and demand is a very powerful one, more powerful than the Renters' Rights Bill or anything else. And people rightly at home will be saying, yeah, but we don't want more houses built where we are, often because they're ugly houses that get built. I don't think many people would complain if we built another city of Bath somewhere, right? Beautiful housing. And Labour, who were supposed to be good on this was the one area where I was trying to give them some credit. They've caved on house building to such a level that the head of the Labour Yes in My Backyard campaign, YIMBY, a guy called Chris Worrell, who comes on this show a lot, has crossed over and joined the Conservative Party because he's seen Labour be so bad on this. That's the only way you're going to fix any of this stuff. The Renters' Rights Bill, all the rest of it is a distraction from that one economic fact.
Okay. At least with just very briefly, James, but at least with ministers who are wrapped up in scandal with the Labour government, is it's dealt with very, very quickly. I mean, this was dealt with within a matter of hours. And the same couldn't be said for the Tories.
No, this is true. I mean, again, it's that point that came earlier on about trying to have loyalty in there. And do you have loyalty? Do you try and help your ministers out? And that does make things more politically painful. If you think people are so talented that they're worth riding out scandals for, that's one thing. But Starmer doesn't seem to have any loyalty to anybody. And actually, Roshanara Ali, she did her resignation letter. That must have been very sad. I've had to write some of those to ministers in the past. Starmer's response was about 3 lines. Like, yes, I know that you've done this and you'll keep backing me. Done. Because the guy doesn't seem to have any soul whatsoever.
Yeah, but she's been pushed, hasn't she? She's been pushed.
Yeah, of course. But you can at least be a little bit fulsome when you push someone over. At least give them a cushion to land on, perhaps. But you didn't do that.
No, well. All right, James, thanks very much indeed. We'll see you later.
Now, a reminder of our breaking news this morning. Sir Keir Starmer has reacted to Israel's plans to take over Gaza City. He issued this warning to Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, he said the Israeli government's decision to further escalate its offensive in Gaza is wrong. We urge it to reconsider immediately. This action will do nothing to bring an end to this conflict or to help secure the release of the hostages. It will only bring more bloodshed.
Well, earlier we got the views of the defence editor at the Evening Standard, Robert Fox.
Very much an open question whether it can succeed, and the simple tactical answer to that is whether they can penetrate the tunnels. But it has got quite a division among military circles in Israel. Now, does Netanyahu go on to fully occupying Gaza? Yes, it's another spin, and it's very, very divisive, because Israel is becoming increasingly isolated on the international stage. So the key figure in all this will be Donald Trump.
It's very difficult to get our heads around how it could possibly work, Robert, when you've got the IDF, say, concerned about an expansion of military activity. You've got hostage families already out protesting against this. How can this work?
Well, Stephen, yeah, you've absolutely laid it down. The two track, the military track and the political one. And the question of the hostages is a huge one, as you say. But can we just go to the whole business of occupation? How very, very difficult this is. Is Mr. Netanyahu saying to the Israeli people, the IDF, your citizen army, is going to be now involved in an open-ended occupation of Gaza? That is a very, very tall ask indeed, and it's very doubtful whether it can work completely, can be completely watertight in the long term.
And it seems as though the majority of the world is calling for de-escalation in Gaza, calling for Israel to stop or limit their operations in Gaza. It seems as though we're going the opposite way now. And as you say, the key to all of this will be the backing, we assume, of President Trump.
Yes, I think Trump, again, will get the extraordinarily active Steve Witkoff involved in this, and he's deeply involved in Ukraine, and we don't quite know where that one is going with the possible meeting between Trump and Putin. There is too much going on. It really does depend on what the Americans are saying to Netanyahu for his medium to long term, because America really is the big backer. They need not only the American bucks, but it is the bangs that go with it. It is the ammunition resupply, the support for such systems like Iron Dome. It's very, very difficult to ask an army to go on doing what they're asking them to do. There's been a lot of criticism from veterans of the IDF, of former commanders, of the way that they're going about it, but also getting through those tunnels, as I was trying to say earlier on, which is really the problem, and it's enormously elaborate. Could that be mission impossible?
Now let's get a check on the weather with Alex Burkill.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. For many of us, it is going to be a fine day today. Most of us will see some decent sunshine, and in that sunshine, it's going to feel pleasantly warm. But across the northern parts, it's a slightly different story. There is some wet weather here, quite persistent rain to start the day across parts of Shetland. Otherwise, across many parts of Scotland, there will be outbreaks of showery rain pushing through, and we have some blustery winds here as well. Across Northern Ireland and some parts of northern England, a bit cloudy at times, but across the rest of England and Wales, lots of sunshine, and in that sunshine, temperatures will rise. We're looking at highs of around 25 Celsius towards the southeast, so feeling pretty warm indeed. After a largely fine day, it's going to be a fine evening across much of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit more cloud pushing into some parts of the southwest, but it looks quite high cloud, so just turning the sunshine a bit milky. Otherwise, a fine picture for most. A bit more cloud still across parts of Northern Ireland and Northern England. 1 or 2 spots of rain can't be ruled out, but it's really across many parts of Scotland, especially the northern 2/3 of Scotland, where we have the greatest chance of some outbreaks of rain as we go through this evening. And still those blustery winds. Most of the showery outbreaks will actually clear away for a little period of time across northern areas, but then a front is going to push its way in from the northwest. So some potentially heavy rain pushing into parts of northwest Scotland and maybe northwest Northern Ireland, but elsewhere across the rest of the country it's looking dry with some clear skies, and so temperatures maybe a touch lower than some recent nights, and with that there could be a few pockets of mist and fog first thing tomorrow morning. And then through tomorrow itself, that front towards the northwest does gradually edge its way a little bit further south and east, so just about pushing into parts of northern England, but it breaks up as it goes, so not bringing a huge amount of rain here. Plenty of showery bursts across Scotland following in behind, still quite blustery here, but a fine picture towards the southeast ahead of that front, and here temperatures look like they'll be a touch higher than today.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Right, here's your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for a whole 12 months, plus an extra £5 in the bank, just to help you out. It's our latest Great British giveaway, and if you haven't even got a mortgage or rent to pay, you can still enter, and you'd walk away with £15,000 if you win. Here are the details.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you, we'll give you £15,000 in cash instead. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Now do stay with us. Still to come, we're going to meet a woman who became addicted to painkillers after surgery. We're going to find out more about the secret epidemic of people stuck on everyday pills next.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
I'm especially glad to be joined by Mandy this morning. Mandy with me here. How are you finding the challenge so far, Mandy?
It's all right so far because it's not too hot.
Yeah, that's a tremendous relief. And you're a veteran yourself, but also a beneficiary of SAFA, Mandy.
I am, yeah. I served 12 years in the Royal Air Force. And then SAFA supported myself and my son when my husband took his own life.
Yeah, it's a tremendously sad story. Your husband, Chris, himself a veteran suffering from PTSD after a tour in Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, he suffered for a long time. So in 21 years, he did 15 tours. I mean, the support we got, it wasn't just life-changing, it was life-saving, which was so important at the time. And SAFA, they were strong for me, which meant that I could be strong for our son.
Yeah, and your son now 17, he must be so proud of his father's memory and your service as well.
I think so. You know, we talk about his dad all the time, and it's very, very important that we keep his memory alive. So we're doing little things. So we've just got his name on a memorial wall at our local football club, which again is important because it shows Jamie that he'll always be remembered.
So beautiful. I think our viewers and listeners will be so touched by that. And as you're completing this march today, these 10 miles, you just saw some of the cadets behind us now. What are you thinking about as you make that march?
It's how many people come out to support the charity, which I think is so important, because without all our supporters, without our volunteers, you know, SAFA can't exist. And SAFA are there when people need them the most, and that needs to be able to continue. So without things like this and everyone supporting us, it won't.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Now, did you know that 75% of drug overdose deaths in 2023 involve just what would you consider pretty much everyday painkillers?
Well, that number is almost 10 times higher compared to 20 years ago.
Well, someone who knows about this secret epidemic is Philly Lay, who spiralled into addiction after back surgery in 2014, and she joins us now. Good to see you this morning. I mean, this is terrifying in a way, because it's something which is basically not very well controlled.
No, it's not. You know, I was just a normal Middle England woman. I never dreamed in a million years that I could become addicted to opioids and alcohol, because the opioids stopped working after a while. So I found they helped an awful lot more with a bottle of wine at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a silent killer, and it is one of the biggest killers of mankind, and people don't realise how addictive these drugs are.
So, Philly, tell us a little bit about your story and how you actually managed to slip into addiction, because it actually started with a surgery, didn't it, that went wrong?
Yes, so 11 years ago, I had a spinal fusion, and they missed my spine with the anaesthetic, and I nearly died. I spent 24 hours in a coma, and my body just shut down because they couldn't give me any more painkillers, because they put the drugs in my body. They just missed, you know, the place they were meant to be. So they couldn't give me any more because they would have killed me. So my body shut down for 24 hours. And then my children were brought in to say goodbye to me. And they were my lifeline. They were my happy place. And I came round the minute I heard their voices. But I spent 2 years of my life in bed, addicted to opioids and alcohol. I just couldn't move. I couldn't. There was nothing in me that wanted to get out of bed. The pain was extraordinary. I had huge post-traumatic stress disorder. And I went back to see the surgeon 6 weeks later. And when I walked in, he went, "Oh, you with the scream," because I let out this blood-curdling scream when they brought me round. And I said, "Yes, I'll never forget that scream." He went, "No, nor will I." I said, "You know, it was a disaster, the operation." He said, "No, it wasn't. The anaesthetic was a disaster, nothing to do with me," and washed his hands of it completely.
So where does that leave you when you find yourself in this position where you're so reliant on painkillers and, as you say, and alcohol, as well as a result of all of this? I mean, is there anyone that you can reach out to? Is anyone checking up to see how you're getting on?
No, I was actually quite alarmed at how easy it was for Danny, my now ex-husband, just to keep going and getting these prescriptions. No, there was nobody. I mean, Danny said to me, "Go and see a lawyer. We should sue the hospital." But I couldn't. There was nothing in me that could relive what I'd just been through. And you only have 2 years to do that. And you know, for 2 years, I was in complete shutdown and post-traumatic stress disorder. And, you know, the drugs and the alcohol just kind of relieved the pain, not just the physical pain, but the emotional pain of it.
How do we fix this, Philly? Because it's been described as a secret epidemic, but it is, isn't it? This is happening to so many people up and down the country because it is so easy to become dependent on these sorts of drugs.
Absolutely. Well, I had a shock to fix me. At this time in bed that I spent, my whole body was spiraling out of control. I had autoimmune diseases, I had chronic brain fog, chronic fatigue, frozen shoulder, you know, everything going on in my body. I just felt absolutely terrible. And then one day I noticed a large lump in my throat, so I went to my GP. And he looked at the state of me, and I was this, you know, I ballooned from a size 8 to a size 16. I was kind of puffy, and, you know, he looked at me and kind of went, oh my God, what's happened? And I told him, and I saw lots of consultants, 4 in a week. And I kept saying to them, is it connected? You know, everything that's going on, is it connected? And they don't know because they're not taught to connect the body. So it's like, well, I'm just going to take the tumour out and I'll try and keep half your thyroid. I'm going to operate on your frozen shoulder. I'm going to do this. And I just thought, do you know what? My body is connected. I know it is. I sang that song when I was a child, you know, your hip bone's going to your thigh bone. So I knew the body was connected. So I went on a journey to heal myself naturally. I'm now in my early 60s, and I think I've done remarkably well. But it is down to the individual. And, you know, I wrote a book in 2020, the Natural Wellness Journal, to chart all the things that I did to heal myself. And it's a very simple book, and I believe journaling is a massive part of what you need to, you know, writing down those emotions is gold dust. And then in 2023, I started a podcast, The Wellness Way with Philly J. Lay, where I'm just teaching people all the amazing things that you can do for your health naturally. And this weekend, I'm taking the podcast on the road, and we're doing our first ever festival at Wasing Park in Berkshire, where we're just bringing everybody together, and over 60 of the people that have been on my podcast that helped me, because we're not going to get this information from the medical profession. They don't know.
No, well, this is the problem, and I think it's important that people can look at someone who's been through it and come out the other side. I think that's really, really important for people. We've got to leave it there because we're out of time, but Philly, it's really, really good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed.
And good to see you looking so well as well.
If you or anyone you know struggling with any sort of addiction, then don't forget, you just need to speak to your GP or seek medical help. It's about asking for help. If it's things like alcohol, there are plenty of old drugs. There are various groups online as well if you don't want it going on your GP record and all that stuff. You know, get on the old computer or the phone and find out who you can talk to, because there are lots of people in that situation, and actually being able to talk to people who understand is really important.
Yep, lots of help and support always available. Now, if you're travelling to work this morning, here's your traffic and travel update.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Road users should use caution on the A87 Skybridge due to high winds affecting driving conditions. Ongoing resurfacing work on the M4 westbound at junction 42, Earlswood, has closed the road with diversions available. In Essex, all lanes on the A12 northbound between junctions 19 and 20B are currently closed due to a road traffic collision. Stay tuned for updates. And on the trains, there is major disruption affecting East Midlands Railway between Bedford and London St Pancras International, and Grand Central services between Peterborough, Cambridge and London King's Cross. Stay up to date at gbnews.com. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Now, do stay with us. Still to come, Paul Coit is going to be here with all of your sports news. That's next.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, so that week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's Patrick Christie's Tonight, and here we do things differently. It's explaining the absolute madness of this, doesn't it? It's explosive. I mean, this is very good. It's lively.
850. Your government sat there, Sean, and it did nothing.
It's controversial. And the Middle East has been in turmoil since before I was born. It's everything you need to kickstart your evening. Everyone's had their Weetabix tonight. I love to see it. That's Patrick Christie's Tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, though.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Sports time. Paul Coyte's here with us.
Hello, the Ballon d'Or. Are we excited about the Ballon d'Or?
I love the Ballon d'Or.
Bothered about the Ballon d'Or? What do you think about the Ballon d'Or?
It's one of my favourite phrases to say, the Ballon d'Or.
Please feel free to say it a few times.
Ballon d'Or, Ballon d'Or,
There will
Ballon
be a
d'Or,
point
Ballon
where...
d'Or.
I don't remember when we've ever talked about the Ballon d'Or with the focus being on the women before.
Yeah.
Is this the first time? No, it can't be.
No, there's been quite a few years.
It's just because we've got insiders now.
We've got 5 lionesses that are seriously up for
Chloe
the
Kelly,
Ballon d'Or.
surely.
Well, Chloe Kelly, Hannah Hampton, the goalkeeper, has had a fantastic season.
Yeah,
At Chelsea, and also playing in the Euros. Lucy Bronze is nominated. Alessia Russo, Leah Williams.
She played on a
captain.
broken leg, didn't she?
Yes, of course.
She should
yes.
get it for that.
Yeah, she
just for the injury. But anyway, the men's, there's no Messi or Ronaldo because they pretty much had it sewn up between the two of them every year. There are 9 players from Paris Saint-Germain that are nominated. It's a French award. There are French journalists that vote. Not that I'm going to say it's going to be biased towards PSG, but...
No, clearly.
You know, France Football and L'Equipe vote for it.
You'd nominate all of Spurs, to be fair.
Well, do you think I would?
Yes.
And they go, how come...
You throw them all in the mix.
Pedro Porro got in there? And they go, I don't know.
I don't know, nothing to do with me.
Jude Bellingham's nominated, Harry Kane is nominated. These are the British players. Cole Palmer, Declan Rice, Scott McTominay, who went over to Italy to play for Napoli after leaving Manchester United. He's been really good, so would probably never have dreamed of a nomination for a Ballon d'Or, with respect to Scott McTominay, but now he's in the running.
Good on him.
Yeah, absolutely. Crystal Palace, I want to mention this. Court of Arbitration for Sport. We've mentioned that so many times in different stories, whether it be drugs or whether it be this or whether it be that. This time it's Crystal Palace. It's certainly no drugs involved, but it's this multi-club ownership rules situation. So the story, to cut a very long, deep story short, is the fact that Crystal Palace won the FA Cup this year, which means, or last season, which means they go into Europe for the first time. They qualify for the Europa League. Then there's a man called John Textor. John Textor...
He's the one with the hat.
Yeah, he what?
He's got a big hat.
Cowboy hat.
No, that's Woody. Is Woody the one with the hat?
No, he's got
Textor with a hat. He's got a big baseball.
He's got headphones on.
He has on that one.
He's also got a cowboy hat.
He's got a cowboy hat.
Just trust us on this.
OK, I don't remember the hat, but I will trust you on that. So Textor, the guy with the hat, is the one, and pretty much he had the hat. He was the one that had the hat when it came to Crystal Palace because he had more shares than anybody else. But also, he had more shares at Lyon. Now, the multi-ownership rule through UEFA means no owner can have two clubs in one competition. So, I've now seen a picture of him with the hat. OK, that's the guy with the hat. So, Lyon qualified, but whoever qualifies higher would then take precedence. So, it seems that Crystal Palace would then have to drop from the Europa League to the Conference League. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
But John Textor sold his shares to Woody Johnson, who owns the New York Jets.
Right.
So it looked like everything was fine. But there's a date on that, which is March the 1st, and it didn't happen in time. So they are now going to the Court of Arbitration to Sport to say, look, this is really unfair. Steve Parish, the chairman, says it's one of the greatest injustices in the history of European football. And with all of that going on, it would be a real shame for Crystal Palace not to play in the Europa League. Although Nottingham Forest, it would be to their advantage.
Because they get in.
Because they're the ones that would get in.
Yeah, but let's have a bit of common sense here.
I think so.
Have we got time for a couple of birthdays?
I've always got time.
Oh, I love birthdays,
Got some big names. Well, some really big names. Let's go with the first one, shall we? Who is there? Oh, it's Roger. Roger Federer. 20 Grand Slams. Only won the French Open once, 6-time Australian, 5-time US Open, 8-time Wimbledon champion, and a lovely man,
I
Roger
think he's
Federer.
40... I want to say 43.
OK.
46.
44. Both very good, but not there. 44
Guesses.
for Roger Federer. Let's go with another one, shall we? It's Nigel Mansell.
Nigel Mansell.
1992 world champion.
Picture of him.
He's got the matching eyebrow and moustache set. There it is. So there is
Nigel Mansell, 72.
72?
80.
72 is the right answer. Very good. One more. And who could it possibly be?
Oh, Chris
Eubanks. Son is going to be fighting Ben, of course. Ben in November. 60.
I'm going to go...
I think you're overcooking that.
I think I'm going to go 62.
62. 62, 60, any lower. I'm going to give you both one more go. 58 there?
57 then.
59 is the answer. Happy birthday, Chris Eubanks.
Happy birthday, Chris.
Love a bit of that.
Thanks, Coity.
Thank you very much indeed. Right, Susan Holder and Duncan Bark's going to take us through the papers in a minute. First, though, here's your European forecast.
I hope we haven't forgotten anything.
Travel insurance, I tick that box.
Yeah, but remember what you forgot last year.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Looking ahead to tomorrow, and the weather across southern Europe is looking pretty dry for most places, albeit a bit of rain is pushing across Madeira. Meanwhile, for Spain, Portugal and even France, the heat is continuing to build, so temperatures for some could be getting into the high 30s, maybe even low 40s through the weekend. Meanwhile, across parts of Italy, Greece, even into Turkey, lots of dry and hot weather here, and that's how the outlook is looking as well, staying largely sunny.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
And
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
No, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
It's been an exceptional event, Dawn. Armed Forces Day, raising money for veterans and their families.
Johnny, well done.
Thank you so much. Very kind of you. It's been exceptional, really. I've got a lovely medal, which is another big win for the team. I just want to bring in Nick and Amanda. Amanda here is a veteran of the Australian Navy. She's married to Nick, who's a serving Royal Navy officer. How are you feeling, Amanda? Great success. Well done.
My legs are hurting, but I'm so happy that we've been here today. It's just been so much fun, it really has, and for such a great cause.
And this is a charity you both support very closely, Nick.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, the armed forces protect the nation. SAPA protects the armed forces. We're really happy to be out today, and it's been a super reception right the way along the route. Loads of lovely people out today, so it's been good fun. Sore legs.
And both of you met through the Navy, of course. It's an exciting armed forces love story. It must be wonderful for you to both give back to the armed forces community today.
Absolutely, and we will never stop giving back. You know, we're Matlows at heart. I'm a veteran. I work for an aerospace and defence company who are going to match our donations that we raise, and it's just really exciting. So we'll always keep giving back.
And Nick, for you, you're still serving, but you must have such a close connection with our veterans community as well. Many people you must have known on this walk here today, over 1,200. Yes. How does it feel still serving in the Royal Navy, seeing how many members of the armed forces continue to support veterans and their families?
I think you never leave the armed forces. You never leave it, and it's lovely to see that the relationships that you form in service continue after. And you know, we work very hard to stay connected to all of our old shipmates and people that we've worked with for many years and sort of sat alongside in some odd places around the world.
GB News, the People's Channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Susan Holder and Duncan Barks are taking us through the papers. Morning, you two. It's 8:47. Duncan.
Yes.
The Telegraph says train staff could go on strike.
Yes.
Again.
Who would have thought it?
I can't imagine.
I know, it's a shocker, this. This is cross-country services on August the 23rd and 25th. Now, this is the August bank holiday weekend.
Yeah, of course.
And train guards are not happy because they want to be paid extra for scanning mobile phone tickets.
Sorry?
Well, you know, increasingly, you kind of you buy online and you might get something sent to your smartphone, like a QR code or whatever, and your train guard will just walk up and down the carriage and scan it, beep, beep, and that's it.
What, rather than... But otherwise, they'd be checking a paper ticket.
And what difference does that make to their pay? I don't get it.
Here's the thing. They get commission if they sell you a ticket on board the train, which is 5%. Which you would have thought was probably their job anyway. They're saying, or the RMT, their union, is saying, well, this is not fair because more and more people are having these QR codes. Therefore, our train guards don't have the option to sell a ticket. Therefore, they're not making the money that they used to.
That's got nothing to do with whether you have an e-ticket or not. Whether you buy, who gets on a train without a ticket anyway?
You buy one at the
That's not
machine.
a thing that most people do. I don't believe that. So I think this is a ruse to kind of make an excuse. What I'd like to know is when I travel on the train, which I do an awful lot coming up and down to London, mainly on a Vanti, not on the one you mentioned. But I don't understand how any of these train companies make any money because I'm always getting refunds, which is marvellous because it's so often over 15 minutes late and you get an automatic refund.
So I think what you have here is you've got a new leader of the RMT. Remember Mick Lynch? He retired back in May, so it's now a guy called Eddie Dempsey, who's a little bit more, even harder than Mick Lynch.
He's trying to make his mark.
He's trying to make his mark, I think. And just to put it into context, the average salary for a train guard on this particular train line is £21,000 to £22,000 a year. So they're saying, well, we make a few quid out of selling tickets. This isn't fair. So that's what this is about. But who loses out ultimately? The passenger.
Yeah, it always is, isn't it?
Claiming that they're getting fingers thrown from pushing
They keep forcing us that way to have it digital anyway. So.
Yeah, it's better for the environment and all that stuff, isn't it? Susan.
Yes.
What makes the perfect Bond girl?
Well, apparently, to be witty and smart and not take a selfie is the headline in the story.
You've had it, Ellie. Love a selfie.
That's me out.
Well, I think you'd make quite a good one. You qualify in many other areas there.
She's witty and smart.
She's witty and smart, and hand-to-hand combat, I think, would probably be your thing. I think you probably could take it on. So if you think about the Bond girls of the past, so there's a big piece in the... it's the Mail, isn't it? Oh, it's not. It's the Times. It's in the Times. So C.C. Browning, a journalist, has taken on the kind of challenge of trying to work out what defines a Bond girl and why we love them and what's great about them. And she's come up with several things. And the thing about taking selfies is because they're too busy to take selfies. They've got a mission in mind and they keep focused. They are savvy. They're robust. They're independent, and they're often, and people don't give them credit for this, successful career women with many talents. So you've had people who are physicists, fighter pilots, accomplished cellists.
They're not real.
No, but this is the whole kind of culture of Bond. People always think about Bond as the kind of... But the Bond women, as we now call them rather than Bond girls, are a very, very important part, I think.
I would agree.
And although they've spoken to people like Britt Eklund, who says being beautiful and being athletic was obviously a thing, but you've got to have more to you than that, than be a Bond. I think it's a really good positive role model for women, actually, to think about what Bond girls bring to the party.
They all succumb to Bond.
They don't all, actually.
No.
That's a myth. Quite a lot of them don't. They use their seductive powers, maybe, but they don't all do that. Some of them don't at all. There was one who was like in her 50s who was kind of you know, was a Bond girl, but she wasn't the kind of just the young nubile kind of. No, I think so. Who's your favourite Bond girl?
Honor Blackman.
Honor Blackman.
Goldfinger.
Yeah.
Pussy Galore.
Yeah, well, there you go. And obviously the one who came out of the sea, who was that Ursula Andress as Honey Rider.
Honey Rider.
Never been bettered. Even Halle Berry kind of copied her, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you
Halle
go.
Berry, yeah.
How we go from that to sausages? Duncan, I don't know.
He can do it.
I can do that. No, I'm really depressed about this, as someone who does enjoy a sausage or two. The full English.
Love a full English.
It's a bit of a treat sometimes in these health-conscious days, or maybe not. Gen Z and millennials are not having the bacon, or indeed the sausages, the bangers.
That's the best part.
I know, they're opting for plant alternatives instead.
I love
What, so they're having fake, as we would call it, fake sausages and fake bacon? What's wrong with that?
Sausage. Sometimes you get them, they've got, like, bits of vegetables in and cheese, and I like that.
But it's not a sausage.
Well, it's in a sausage. What makes a sausage is a
meat
sausage
derivative.
Shape. No, the sausage is the shape, surely.
No, it's a meat derivative.
Okay.
Same with bacon.
I like fake bacon. See, I don't eat
fake
meat.
bacon.
No.
He's talking to a vegetarian.
You're Gen X, aren't you? I would have thought.
X? I don't know. Well, I'm
Gen X.
Yeah, I
You're
think
not
we are
millennial.
Gen X.
I'm 51.
Yeah, you're Gen X, I think. Yeah.
Which means that it says the director. Thanks
No,
a
but
lot.
this
I'm
is
51. I've been
bad news.
vegetarian for 46 years.
Well,
You're looking well on it.
that's a good thing if you're doing it for the reasons for what? Health? Or
No, I just don't like. I just don't like the idea of it.
Yeah.
Oh, is it for the animals?
Yeah, I don't like the idea of eating animals.
That's nice.
It
Don't
is
mind
nice.
wearing them though. It's fine.
So people like yourself, Stephen, get excited about an avocado on toast.
No, I don't do that.
like
That's too
avocado.
middle class.
What
That's
is it
very
then?
middle class. I'm a working class northerner.
What do you have?
Beans on toast.
Beans on toast.
Poached egg on toast is
See,
nice.
I'm particularly partial to a shakshuka.
A what?
Who's that then?
What?
Well, that's like baked eggs, is it?
Like, but it's with tomato-y kind of thing, and you have
Oh,
it with
that's
like...
right posh, that.
No, it's not. It's very Middle Eastern, and it's lovely. You can get it in great
Shakshuka.
Turkish
Can you imagine
restaurants.
going over there? Can I have a shakshuka?
That's what I say. Can I have a shakshuka? And they say yes.
Would you like a full English at the weekend? That's what I
Love
had
a
a full English at the
What's
weekend.
your favourite?
The sausage,
Yeah.
the beans.
Now, do you have mushrooms?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do like a mushroom. Do like a mushroom, but I wouldn't put it on every weekend.
And would you have baked beans and tomatoes on the same plate?
Absolutely not, never.
Why not?
Really, why not?
Can't mix the liquids.
See, liquids.
No.
It's a vexed issue.
You've got to have the beans.
In a ramekin.
No, because I like a lot of beans, and then I'd put tomatoes in a ramekin, actually.
I don't like stuff in ramekins.
Do you know?
Some people use a sausage to separate the beans from the eggs.
Yeah.
Like a break.
Yeah.
Like a breakwater.
Like a
barrier.
A barrier.
It's too much
on the
cholesterol
plate.
first thing in the morning.
Have I taken too many pills?
It's so good, though. Honestly, I look forward to a Friday. 'Cause I
Bottom
know
line
it's
is
actually morning
millennials
fry-up.
and Gen Zers are not having bacon and sausages anymore there.
Well, I'm eating enough for all of them.
So.
Right. Oh, well, there you go. I don't think that's a terrible thing. I'm more concerned. Are you Gen X?
Yeah.
Are you Gen X?
I think so.
Oh,
And
we're all right then.
you like your full English?
I love my sausages.
Good.
Yeah.
You like a sausage, don't you?
I love a sausage sandwich. Yeah. And I love a full English.
You wouldn't believe how many times she says, oh, can't wait, I'm just going home for a sausage sandwich.
I am.
Yes.
Food of champions.
My favourite. Yeah, very
Like
good.
you two, thank you, I think. It's all
Thanks, you two.
It's all got a bit weird. Here's the weather.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. For many of us, it is going to be a fine day today. Most of us will see some decent sunshine, and in that sunshine, it's going to feel pleasantly warm. But across the northern parts, it's a slightly different story. There is some wet weather here, quite persistent rain to start the day across parts of Shetland. Otherwise, across many parts of Scotland, there will be outbreaks of showery rain pushing through, and we have some blustery winds here as well. Across Northern Ireland and some parts of northern England, a bit cloudy at times, but across the rest of England and Wales, lots of sunshine, and in that sunshine, temperatures will rise. We're looking at highs of around 25 Celsius towards the southeast, so feeling pretty warm indeed. After a largely fine day, it's going to be a fine evening across much of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit more cloud pushing into some parts of the southwest, but it looks quite high cloud, so just turning the sunshine a bit milky. Otherwise, a fine picture for most. A bit more cloud still across parts of Northern Ireland and Northern England. 1 or 2 spots of rain can't be ruled out, but it's really across many parts of Scotland, especially the northern 2/3 of Scotland, where we have the greatest chance of some outbreaks of rain as we go through this evening. And still those blustery winds. Most of the showery outbreaks will actually clear away for a little period of time across northern areas, but then a front is going to push its way in from the northwest. So some potentially heavy rain pushing into parts of northwest Scotland and maybe northwest Northern Ireland. But elsewhere across the rest of the country, it's looking dry with some clear skies, and so temperatures may be a touch lower than some recent nights. And with that, there could be a few pockets of mist and fog first thing tomorrow morning. And then through tomorrow itself, that front towards the northwest does gradually edge its way a little bit further south and east, so just about pushing into parts of northern England, but it breaks up as it goes, so not bringing a huge amount of rain here. Plenty of showery bursts across Scotland following in behind, still quite blustery here, but a fine picture towards the southeast ahead of that front, and here temperatures look like they'll be a touch higher than today.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning, this is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. The A87 Skye Bridge has high winds affecting driving conditions. On the M4 westbound, road resurfacing at junction 42, Earlswood causes closures with diversions. Essex's A12 northbound faces a road traffic collision between junction 19 and 20B, closing all lanes. And on the trains, East Midlands Railway has major disruptions between Bedford and London St Pancras International, while Grand Central services experience significant delays between Peterborough, Cambridge and London King's Cross. For more travel news, go to gbnews.com.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year. We'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Good morning. The Prime Minister condemns Israel's plans to take control of Gaza City.
After Israel's war cabinet confirmed overnight its intention to occupy the region as part of a 5-point plan it says will end the war.
Humiliation for Labour as the Homelessness Minister Ellie quits over an evictions row. But could it threaten Labour's Renters' Rights Bill? Well, the Deputy Leader of the Lib Dems, Daisy Cooper, shared her thoughts on breakfast.
The fact of the matter is she has acted within the law, but as a minister she was trying to change the law and she hasn't acted in the spirit of the new law that she wanted to introduce. So I think she's right to resign.
Well, meanwhile, the chairman of the Conservative Party, Kevin Hollinrake, had this to say.
The classic case of do as I say, not as I do. So I don't think she can hide behind that.
A GB News exclusive reveals a Labour group is under fire after it promoted an asylum hotel counter-protest.
And locals in Aldershot say they do not want masked counter-protesters from Stand Up to Racism turning up at their family event later today.
The deadline dawns on Donald Trump's deadline for Russia to agree an end to the Ukraine war.
The market town of Ashbourne faces a summer of disruption thanks to roadworks. Is it time that councils made more effort to work projects around residents?
A £15 million scheme to try and improve the pedestrian experience, but businesses here worry whether they're even going to survive. We're here speaking to them today.
Morning. We're going to have a fine day of weather for many parts of the UK to end the week, but not everywhere. Stick around for the details.
It's just gone 9 o'clock. I'm Stephen Dixon.
I'm Ellie Costello, and this is GB News Breakfast.
Now, you know when they say you can't believe what you read? There's this great story in the Star this morning about a UFO which is probing Earth.
Oh.
So it's this...
In what way?
There's this thing which has come from interstellar space into the solar system, and it's called 31-Atlas.
Oh, that's really catchy.
Yeah, no, but it's this massive piece of rock, right? And they don't know quite where it's come from or what it is. It's been travelling for billions of years. Anyway, there's a Harvard physicist called Avi Loeb who says the most plausible scenario from an engineering standpoint is that this involves a mothership deploying mini probes. So we're being probed by 31-Atlas. Mini probes. Anyway, Chris Lintott, who you may know because he used to do The Sky at Night with Patrick Moore and things, who's now at the University of Oxford, dismissed these claims as nonsense on stilts, which is sensible. I mean, I love the whole UFO thing.
You're such a space nerd.
But this is a comet. It's a very big interstellar comet, but it's a comet.
Yeah, and most experts believe it is just likely to be a comet.
Yes, and it's not a mothership with mini probes seeing what's going on in the UK.
Well, thank you for bringing that.
It really made me smile this morning.
Should we look at some breaking news
I think we better
this morning? Because Israel's war cabinet has approved plans to occupy Gaza City.
It follows Benjamin Netanyahu's announcement yesterday that he plans to take control of the region as part of a 5-point plan he says will end the war.
Well, earlier we got the views of defence editor at the Evening Standard, Robert Fox.
Very much an open question whether it can succeed, and the simple tactical answer to that is whether they can penetrate the tunnels. But it has got quite a division among military circles in Israel. Now, does Netanyahu go on to fully occupying Gaza? Yes, it's another spin, and it's very, very divisive, because Israel is becoming increasingly isolated on the international stage. So the key figure in all this will be Donald Trump.
It's very difficult to get our heads around how it could possibly work, Robert, when you've got the IDF, say, concerned about an expansion of military activity. You've got hostage families already out protesting against this. How can this work?
Well, Stephen, yeah, you've absolutely laid it down. The two track, the military track and the political one. And the question of the hostages is a huge one, as you say. But can we just go to the whole business of occupation? How very, very difficult this is. Is Mr. Netanyahu saying to the Israeli people, the IDF, your citizen army, is going to be now involved in an open-ended occupation of Gaza? That is a very, very tall ask indeed, and it's very doubtful whether it can work completely, can be completely watertight in the long term.
And it seems as though the majority of the world is calling for de-escalation in Gaza, calling for Israel to stop or limit their operations in Gaza. It seems as though we're going the opposite way now. And as you say, the key to all of this will be the backing, we assume, of President Trump.
Yes, I think Trump, again, will get the extraordinarily active Steve Witkoff involved in this, and he's deeply involved in Ukraine, and we don't quite know where that one is going with the possible meeting between Trump and Putin. There is too much going on. It really does depend on what the Americans are saying to Netanyahu for his medium to long term, because America really is the big backer. They need not only the American bucks, but it is the bangs that go with it. It is the ammunition resupply, the support for such systems like Iron Dome. It's very, very difficult to ask an army to go on doing what they're asking them to do. There's been a lot of criticism from veterans of the IDF, of former commanders, of the way that they're going about it, but also getting through those tunnels, as I was trying to say earlier on, which is really the problem, and it's enormously elaborate. Could that be mission impossible?
Well, in response to that news, Sir Keir Starmer had this to say.
The Israeli government's decision to further escalate its offensive in Gaza is wrong, and we urge it to reconsider immediately. This action will do nothing to bring an end to this conflict or to help secure the release of the hostages. It will only bring more bloodshed.
Let's talk to former Conservative advisor James Price. Morning to you, James. I mean, it's difficult to... the UK wants to get involved in this, right? The Prime Minister is particularly determined to get involved in this, wants to recognise the Palestinian state and all the rest of it. Is what he's saying right, or should we actually be taking a further step back and looking at this from a wider perspective, as Con Coughlin from The Telegraph was doing this morning?
Yeah, it's obviously complicated, and emotions run very high on this, because it's very unpleasant in this modern world where you can see the consequences of conflict in a way that we haven't been able to do for lots of wars. So it all feels very visceral and very unpleasant. I think Britain is torn here because, we have the feeling of obligation to do things around the world, and yet things at home are so difficult. We've got tens of thousands of people who've been crossing over on our own borders that we can't keep secure, and yet Starmer has been talking about trying to patrol the Ukrainian-Russian border, and now we're talking about getting involved here in Gaza as well. We don't have the resources, we don't have the influence we think we do. And I just think if we put ourselves in this position that British people had been kidnapped and still held in horrible, torturous conditions for many years by a terrorist group who say their plan is to kill every other Briton going, this idea that we would meet them halfway or in any way countenance anything other than the complete destruction of that group, I think is for the birds. So what else can Netanyahu do if this bunch of horrible, evil terrorists won't let these people go? Would we stop and go, oh, well, it's a bit nasty because, you know, oh, they're some innocents? It doesn't work like that. More Germans were killed in World War II than Brits were. Does that mean the Brits were the baddies? No, it's more complicated than that. And I fear that the reason that Starmer is really getting involved in this comes down to crude, dirty, domestic politics and the kind of voters he wants to keep for the next election.
Is this indicative, though, of Britain's position on the world stage, which is that we're not at the front of it anymore? I mean, President Trump is key to all of this, and he will need to be backing Netanyahu.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. You know, the Americans have invested seriously in their defence and in their ability to change things around the world, and we haven't done that. The British Army is now so small, to put it into context, more than twice as many people have come over in small boats since 2018 as there are regular members of the British Army. That's how weakened our armed forces have been by all of this. And the fact is that we have just imported people from all over the world, and therefore we have imported all of their conflicts. You've seen Eritreans and Ethiopians fighting each other on the streets of London. You've seen pitched fights in Leicester between Hindus and Muslims. We've imported all of these conflicts, and none more so than with the Palestine and Israel issue. You've seen these sort of hateful marches, police having to stop someone saying, sir, you're quite visibly Jewish, so you're not allowed to cross the street. We've imported all these horrible issues here, and Starmer, I'm afraid, is terrified now with those couple of independent MPs who got elected last time, the fact that various communities who care more about the Palestine issue than they care about Britain or anything else, he's terrified of losing that support, as his rubbish government, frankly, loses support from everywhere else, that he's decided he's got to weigh in on this. And he's not doing it, I think, from a particularly moral standpoint. The idea that Britain is going to recognise a Palestinian state that is currently still run by Hamas, a terrorist group, and give them what they want, which is statehood, in return for the fact that they committed this awful terrorist act. You're giving people what they want. I think it's just absolutely extraordinary, and it's what happens when, as Margaret Thatcher said, you stand in the middle of the road, you get hit from both sides.
Yeah. OK. James, thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.
Now, a constituency Labour Party group is facing a heck of a backlash for sharing a flyer on social media promoting a Stand Up to Racism protest.
Well, the Fareham and Borden Labour group has since deleted the post, which called on activists to counter anti-migrant marches taking place outside hotels.
Let's talk to our national reporter, Charlie Peters. Charlie, morning to you. Take us through the details on this, would you?
Well, there are lots of protests outside asylum hotels set to take place this weekend. One of them is in Aldershot, outside the Potters International Hotel. Now, GB News has known the local residents protesting outside that hotel for many years. They've been great sources for us. They tipped us off, our colleague Mark White, about asylum seekers at that hotel illegally working at a local car wash that we revealed 2 years ago, and they're still there. So the protests are continuing. They've put up a flyer for this upcoming protest this evening, which is a pink protest. They want families to attend, no masks, no alcohol, continuing the tradition they've maintained for many years of a peaceful protest. But we have seen counter-demonstrations on occasion from this group Stand Up to Racism outside, opposing this group. Now,
well, the implication from that is that people who are campaigning, who are not happy with migrant hotels are racist.
And they're calling them far-right on the poster itself. Now, this has been shared by the Farnham and Borden Labour group, the constituency Labour Party, on their Facebook, saying, for your information, calling for people, I think, there to join that counter-protest. Now, local residents there say they're not far-right, they're not racist, they don't need people to stand up to them. And this is especially concerning, Stephen Ellie, because earlier this year, footage emerged of the police in Hampshire escorting some of those Stand Up to Racism protesters, those counter-demonstrators from the far left, towards this hotel, even though some of them were masked and carrying Stand Up to Racism signs. So a lot of locals very nervous about the fact that they could have the same scene taking place today. They could have masked counter-protesters taking them along, especially with the local Labour Party promoting them. I should say, this hotel is in Aldershot. This isn't even the constituency that Farnham and Borden is in. So it's a neighbouring constituency getting involved with a different constituency's affairs. They are on each other's borders, of course, but a lot of locals in Aldershot saying, why are the Farnham Labour Party getting involved in this business? Now, as you can imagine, there's been quite a stern reaction to this poster being shared by the local Labour group online. Lots of residents speaking to me yesterday saying that it was totally unacceptable. This is a peaceful gathering. They are concerned about who's been taken into their communities. They have safeguarding concerns about that. I've been to these protests before to interview them. A lot of women, a lot of families attend these protests for quite understandable reasons. Now, Greg Stafford, the Conservative MP for Farnham and Borden, said that this was an example of Labour siding with fringe Marxist outfits intent on stirring up division, all while staying silent on what they'd actually do to fix the system. Now, a Labour spokesperson told me that actually they could not be clearer about what the government is doing to deal with the small boats crisis. They pointed to investment in the National Crime Agency. They pointed to the recent operational deal with France and how they'd already made some detentions on that line, saying they've been very clear about actions they have taken. But we've also heard from the Shadow Justice Secretary, Robert Jenrick, who told me last night, I don't want my young daughters to share a neighbourhood with men who broke into this country illegally and whom we know next to nothing. He says, when I see people peacefully protesting outside these hotels, I see decent, fair-minded people being pushed to breaking point. And those people in Aldershot I've spoken to, they agree with that. And they're very concerned about a Labour Party group promoting counter-protesters who've been escorted by the police, shockingly, in the past, some of them wearing masks. They are concerned about potential disruption and some division tonight.
OK. Charlie, good to see you. Thank you very much. And you're coming up on Britain's Newsroom this morning as well, aren't you?
Yes, Olivia Utley and I will be a bit later to tell you all about that.
Good. Now, do stay with us. Still to come, Derbyshire Town is up in arms as building works have disrupted the summer tourism season. Lots of roadworks going on and lots of traffic. We're going to be talking to locals next.
You've read the headlines, you've heard what those in power have to say. How about now we actually get to the truth?
They would pay attention.
We go beyond the political theatre and tell you what's really going on behind the scenes. For a massive council tax hike, one of the biggest in the UK. Others follow their lines, but we go off script.
You sound like a broken record, just like week after week.
Cutting through the narratives and giving you unique perspectives. That's Ben Leo tonight, Saturdays and Sundays from 9 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays, I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
Because
the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes and Kerr weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Good Afternoon Britain isn't just about us. The wonderful thing about this programme is it's about everyone watching. It's an interactive programme.
Well, there absolutely is something to see here, and we're going to be talking about it more. Whether it's breaking royal news, please bring us up to date, or indeed a particularly punchy speech in the House of Commons.
Very, very curious.
We bring it to you live, and then we bring you live reaction as well.
That's Good Afternoon Britain, weekdays from midday.
Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
This is Britain's Newsroom, where your voice matters.
It's just astonishing. With expert analysis and honest opinion, we don't just keep you informed.
We bring you unique perspectives you won't see anywhere else.
Can't argue with any of that. When the news happens, it happens here.
On Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 a.m.
Only on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Take it away.
Now, here's your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year and get a bonus £5,000 in your bank account.
What if you haven't got a mortgage or rent?
Don't fear, because there's something for everyone in this giveaway. If you don't have a mortgage and you don't rent, lucky you, you can still enter and you could still win £15,000. Here are all of the details that you need.
This is your chance to live mortgage or rent-free for an entire year in the latest Great British Giveaway. That's right, we'll give you a cash lump sum that will cover 12 of your monthly mortgage or rent payments, up to an incredible £20,000. Plus, we'll add £5,000 on top of that for you to treat yourself. And if you don't have a mortgage or rent to pay, lucky you, we'll give you £15,000 in cash instead. You have to hurry though, as lines will close on the 29th of August. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB15 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 29th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Now, in the Derbyshire market town of Ashbourne, a £15 million redevelopment is actually putting a dampener on the summer tourism season.
Well, reports say the streets are blocked off, machinery is causing noise pollution, and tourists are steering clear.
And it's going on, would you believe, till October.
It's no good, is it? Well, GB News reporter Jack Carson has made the journey to Ashbourne to find out for himself, is it really a ghost town this summer? Morning to you, Jack.
Yeah, good morning. Well, just take a look at the roadworks we've got here. This is part of, as you say, a £15 million regeneration scheme to improve the pedestrian experience, the council say, as well as creating event spaces and other improvements to the area and to the community. But you can see from the works that access to shops is essentially now a convoluted pathway system to get into those shops and businesses. According to a council report, are saying that turnover is down. We're joined by Councillor Stuart Lees, who's the leader of the opposition on the council. Thanks for joining us. Can you understand the disruption and the worries and concerns that businesses say they're having because of these works?
Exactly, yes. It's been a long, hard 12-month slog for the businesses, and although we've tried to maintain access to the businesses at all time, we've had quite a few infrastructure problems with drains, etc., that have collapsed, which have caused quite a delay and a spread out of the works.
And obviously this is a big scheme. This was always going to be disruptive. The council admitted that this was going to be disruptive, but a lot of businesses are worried that they're not necessarily receiving the support maybe that they would maybe like, whether that's a temporary reduction in business rates or other things maybe that the council could do to support them in a time when they say turnover is down.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's the county council that's responsible for the highways, but as a district council, we're doing all we can. We've got business support officers that come and visit the businesses. We've reduced the car parking fees to free from 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock as from next Monday. At the moment, car parking is free from 2 o'clock right through till the 7th of September, till the children go back to school.
So what kind of impact is that having? Are you seeing therefore, uptake in people coming back to this town? Because some businesses have reported that it's almost like a ghost town at times. In the middle of summer holidays, wanting, businesses making a lot of money in the summer to take them through the winter. Is that effect on car parking having much of a difference, do you know?
It's very much mixed opinions, because the car parking revenue has been up. So there's been more cars on the car parks. But there's other car parks, there's free car parks around town. Signage has been a bit of an issue, getting them to these other car parks, but some businesses are doing okay, some are struggling.
Councillor, thank you so much for joining us this morning and giving us that view. You can see here, it's not just here behind me. If we flick round as well, you've got the beautiful bunting. You can see where these roadworks extend all the way up the high street. Today, we're going to be speaking to a number of different businesses to find out how it's impacting them.
OK, Jack, thanks very much indeed.
Now, Britain's newsroom is coming up at 9:30. Charlie Peters and Olivia Utley are here to tell us all about it. Morning, you two. What a treat.
We've got the small chair.
There is a cushion there if you need it.
I've already got one. Oh, that's what the booster cushion was for.
Oh. Well, when we get Olivia sat up properly, we will be discussing this extraordinary news about the Homelessness Minister resigning. We'll be getting all the reaction, obviously, about those upcoming asylum process. And also, we've got Sir Grant Shapps, who's the co-chair of Conservatives Together, haven't we, Olivia?
Yeah, so he's going to be talking about how the Conservatives want to get back the rural vote. Really, really interesting to see how they're going to go about that, because obviously net zero is proving a total anathema to rural voters, and they're getting very, very interested in reform. So how are the Conservatives going to cope with that? Because, of course, there's less than a hair's difference between the Conservatives and Labour on net zero. So it'll be fascinating to see what he says on that, and we'll be asking him about all the main news of the day.
Yeah, much more coming up, and we'll have the weather before that. Stay with us.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Good morning. This is your latest GB News weather update from the Met Office. For many of us, it is going to be a fine day today. Most of us will see some decent sunshine, and in that sunshine, it's going to feel pleasantly warm. But across the northern parts, it's a slightly different story. There is some wet weather here, quite persistent rain to start the day across parts of Shetland. Otherwise, across many parts of Scotland, there will be outbreaks of showery rain pushing through, and we have some blustery winds here as well. Across Northern Ireland and some parts of northern England, a bit cloudy at times, but across the rest of England and Wales, lots of sunshine, and in that sunshine, temperatures will rise. We're looking at highs of around 25 Celsius towards the southeast, so feeling pretty warm indeed. After a largely fine day, it's going to be a fine evening across much of England and Wales. Perhaps a bit more cloud pushing into some parts of the southwest, but it looks quite high cloud, so just turning the sunshine a bit milky. Otherwise, a fine picture for most. A bit more cloud still across parts of Northern Ireland and Northern England. 1 or 2 spots of rain can't be ruled out, but it's really across many parts of Scotland, especially the northern 2/3 of Scotland, where we have the greatest chance of some outbreaks of rain as we go through this evening. And still those blustery winds. Most of the showery outbreaks will actually clear away for a little period of time across northern areas, but then a front is going to push its way in from the northwest. So some potentially heavy rain pushing into parts of northwest Scotland and maybe northwest Northern Ireland, but elsewhere across the rest of the country it's looking dry with some clear skies, and so temperatures maybe a touch lower than some recent nights, and with that there could be a few pockets of mist and fog first thing tomorrow morning. And then through tomorrow itself, that front towards the northwest does gradually edge its way a little bit further south and east, so just about pushing into parts of northern England, but it breaks up as it goes, so not bringing a huge amount of rain here. Plenty of showery bursts across Scotland following in behind, still quite blustery here, but a fine picture towards the southeast ahead of that front, and here temperatures look like they'll be a touch higher than today.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within. Boxed Solar sponsors the weather on GB News.
Crash Law 24 sponsors GB News Traffic and Travel Report.
Good morning. This is the latest AI travel news from gbnews.com. Please be informed of significant road disruptions due to various incidents today. On the M62 westbound